Arvind Kejriwal's legal team. While citing a 100 crore plot, the ED claimed that Kejriwal is the key conspirator of the alleged scam. He was the kingpin, is what they said. The Aam Aadmi Party rejected that claim. They said it's a pre-poll crackdown by the agency at the behest of the ruling dispensation. We need to show the necessity to arrest, is what they said. Additional Solicitor General S.V. Raju, who appeared for the Enforcement Directorate, tagged Arvind Kejriwal as the kingpin of the scam. Abhishek Manu Singhvi, who was representing Arvind Kejriwal, argued that there is a need to show the necessity to arrest, which the ED had not. ED alleged that Kejriwal had disobeyed multiple summons and that he did not give correct facts to the agency. To which Arvind Kejriwal's defense said that there was nothing to show that he cannot give this required information without his arrest. ASG Raju argued that those involved in functioning were deemed to be guilty. To which Kejriwal's counsel said that the reason to believe and the material in his possession must have a causal link. The threshold is extremely high at the level of the word guilty, is what Abhishek Manu Singhvi argued. The Enforcement Directorate said that there was corroboration by witness statements and call records that point to Arvind Kejriwal's involvement in this entire case. Abhishek Manu Singhvi said that 50% of the people that are witnesses accused in this case haven't named Arvind Kejriwal and that 82% have not mentioned any dealings with him. Why then was he arrested, is what they asked. Now, from Sharad Pawar to Rahul Gandhi to Mamata Banerjee, Pinarayi Vijayan and MK Stalin, all of the opposition today stands together. They are rallying behind Arvind Kejriwal and the Aam Aadmi Party. But will Kejriwal's arrest have an impact on the results or the campaign for the Lok Sabha elections? We are just a little less than a month away from the first phase of elections. Let's take a look at what impact this could have. The opposition hopes to translate this public sympathy into votes. They want to further strengthen their anti-BJP votes. They say this is nothing but witch hunt against a democratically elected government, against a democratically elected Chief Minister for 3 times in a row. They want to ride on that sympathy wave. Now, the opposition bloc is divided by multiple fault lines. There are differences within that 26-party bloc called the India Alliance. Kejriwal's arrest could be the common cause that finally binds them together over the course of the next 2 months while we see these elections happen. Now, with Arvind Kejriwal's arrest, the focus shifts away from these internal differences among the opposition bloc. It's also good for optics, if you will. Kejriwal's arrest will help the opposition to mobilize the demoralized cadre, is also what they feel, because now this gives them that one cause that we are being hunted down and targeted and we must fight this narrative. That is what opposition hopes to ride on. It could give the opposition opportunity to display a show of unity as well. Remember, several allies left that bloc. The RLD left, the JDU left. There are differences of opinion within several other parties, especially with the Congress. Is this that one common ground that finally unites them? Kejriwal's arrest also serves an opportunity to bury differences, especially as far as Trinamool Congress in Bengal is concerned. National Conference in Jammu is concerned. Omar Abdullah has on several occasions raised questions of what the future of the India Alliance looks like, but he too today came out and said that this is democracy under attack, as every single person within the India bloc has come out and alleged. Now, Arvind Kejriwal's arrest is certainly going to change the electoral mat as far as this Lok Sabha election goes, but for the Congress and the Aam Aadmi Party, it's much beyond that. It'll be interesting to watch how the Congress and AAP chemistry plays out. Remember, this is the same party that today stands with Arvind Kejriwal, but in the past has questioned the excise policy. Several leaders within the Delhi unit were asking for Arvind Kejriwal's arrest as well. Let's take a look at what could transpire as far as these two parties are concerned. Let's take a look at Haryana, Gujarat and Goa. Now, the BJP could gain, or at least would eye to gain in these particular states, because this is where the Aam Aadmi Party is believed to be stronger than the Congress. They have wrangled for more seats as well. The BJP hopes to counter that very fight. Let's take a look at what Telangana happens. Support for Kejriwal may affect Congress's prospects as well, because there's the angle of K. Kavita too. The opposition to the BRS, but now the link between K. Kavita and Kejriwal is something that the Congress will have to be mindful about. Let's take a look at Punjab. The Aam Aadmi Party gained due to the confusion among Congress cadre is what is believed, which is why the Aam Aadmi Party got the kind of mandate it did in the Punjab Assembly elections. What happens to Delhi then? It seems to be a catch-22 situation for the Congress party to align, especially after Arvind Kejriwal's arrest, especially since we see the kind of narrative, the comments that were made several months ago, several years ago, come back to now haunt the Congress party. So that brings me to the question we want to ask on the right stand tonight. Will this crackdown impact the big 2024 clash, and who will it impact the most?
इनको भी जेल में जाना पड़ा। सुप्रीम कोर्ट से लेके अन्य कोर्ट ने उनको राहत नहीं दी है। क्या अरविंद केजरीवाल कानून से ऊपर है?
Issue of Kejriwal itself is showing clear political vendetta against opposition parties and their leaders.
उन्हें किसी चीज के लिए गुनहगार पाया नहीं गया है। जेल में बंद रखना ये भी उनके साथ एक सोची समझी साजिश है।
Joining me on this broadcast, national spokesperson of the BJP, RP Singh, is with me here in the studios. Preeti Menon, spokesperson of the Aam Aadmi Party, joins us. Ashkaran Bhandari, lawyer, and Sumit Chandek, lawyer and our constitutional experts, joins us as well. Let me begin by asking the Aam Aadmi Party spokesperson. Preeti Menon, the argument that the Aam Aadmi Party has made is that several raids were conducted, but nothing was ever recovered. Ek paisa bhi nahi mila is the argument the Aam Aadmi Party makes. But is that a coherent and cohesive argument to make, given that the same argument was made for, in the case of Sanjay Singh, in the case of Manish Sisodia, who have not managed to get bail until now?
Not getting bail is a function of the investigative agencies and the PMLA law. The investigative agencies have been always forwarding the fact that this is a PMLA law, there is a money trail, we are following it, and therefore the court in its discretion has not given bail. But the problem in the whole PMLA law argument is, where is the money? There is not even a rupee, there is not even a single paisa that has been ever shown that has moved from one person to the other. On the other hand, one of the approvers in the policy case, in the liquor policy case, is a person who's made huge amounts of money donation through electoral bonds to the BJP. So if the money has moved, it has moved to the BJP from one of the accused in the so-called liquor gate. So I think
electoral bonds were legal until they were struck down. Now, if the donations were made under a legality to any party, irrespective of whether it was the BJP or the Aam Aadmi, that's not the question. It's not the question to be asked.
It's about quid pro quo. Can I complete? It's not about legality. It's about quid pro quo. They get accused, and then the moment they make donations to the BJP, they are made approver, and then they are free. So this is a pattern that we've been seeing across India, that the moment somebody decides to join the BJP, you were talking earlier about how different ideologies come together, how will we make our stands come together. You tell me that Narendra Modi ji himself on a public platform said NCP is the most corrupt party and the irrigation scam is worth 70,000 crores. And then 2 days later, Ajit Pawar is a deputy chief minister of the BJP government. So I think that if any person who in this country looks at the scenario in politics today, they will see that the most hypocritical party on the surface of this earth is the BJP, which takes the corrupt and co-opts them and they become part of them. Forget Ajit Pawar, that all is public knowledge. You saw what happened recently. Sanjay Saroj, a terror funding accused, is now a member of the BJP. So whether it is corruption, whether it is terror funding, all those people belong to the BJP. So hence, if there is any money laundering that has to be studied, it should be investigated about the BJP. With the Aam Aadmi Party, nobody has ever found a trace. There is no liquor gate. It is pure political vendetta, which has been applied because Arvind Kejriwal has defeated the BJP 3 times in Delhi.
So then, Ms. Menon, can you tell me why the policy was rolled back if there was nothing wrong with it? If there was no liquor gate, if there was nothing wrong with the policy, why was it withdrawn?
The policy was withdrawn because of the central government. The liquor gate, the policy that we created was giving us more revenue than the past policy. The same policy we've applied now in Punjab and revenue.
But if everything was above board, why did the state government have to roll it back?
The state government had to roll back because the state government is ruled by the LG. It is the central government that forced the rollback of the policy. And this is the same LG we had first approved the policy and then he took his approval away. So the liquor policy was getting more revenue. Which corrupt policy gets more revenue for the government? If we are getting more revenue,
that's really the question that is being investigated really now. That sure, there was more money, but who was the money going to? Was it to the party coffers and to the personal pockets of the people, or it was going to the state government that was eventually then being used for taxpayers? But sure, I take your point. Let me get an RP Singh on this as well. RP Singh, this is the allegation that everybody within the opposition makes. Anytime corruption taint is on a BJP leader or an opposition leader who then decides to jump to the BJP, everything is whitewashed.
Well, I'll answer that. Before that, there's a gentleman named Vijay Nair. He was a communication head of the Aam Aadmi Party, and he was the conduit between the South lobby and the Aam Aadmi Party here. Now, can she deny that Vijay Nair was allotted a ministerial bungalow of Mr. Kailash Galot, minister? He was not staying in the bungalow. Bungalow was next to Mr. Kejriwal's bungalow, and he was operating from that bungalow. Can you deny that? Can you deny that Vijay Nair met K. Kavita in hotel? Give me, ma'am.
I'll give you a time to rebut. You had your time. Let him finish. Let him make his point. I'll come back to you.
So he met K. Kavita in a hotel of Brian Maiden. I mean, it's all on record. And Mr. Sisodia has applied for bail for 14 times. Mr. Sanjay Singh has applied for bail for 7 times. Court has not granted them bail. But if so was the case, then court could have quashed the whole thing and said, "Oh, you are good and you can go back." I mean, there's no corruption charges. Rather, court said that there is a case of money exchanging hand into 328 crore in regard to Manish Sisodia. It's not me. It was a court observation which was there on record. And also, ma'am, how can you wash your hands from what you did? Why did you went for the post facto approval of the cabinet on what you did? How could you pay back the money of the person who was allotted the tender under L1 and he couldn't fulfill the terms, so the money was returned, 30 crore was returned to the person. But that's on record. 144 crore was returned on the name of Corona. And it's not me only who's saying so. So let me just share with you another part. Give me a second, ma'am. It's very important for the debate. Give me another second. Here it is. Now, here is what.
आपका घोटाला क्या है? शराब का लिकर स्कैम क्या है? लिकर स्कैम सीधे अब ये एस्टैब्लिश हो गया है कि कम से कम 100 करोड़ की रिश्वत ली गई। कम से कम 100 करोड़।
So it's not.
He's playing out a video and an audio for you. Maybe that's not being translated there. But
give me a second. Ajay Makhan is on record that it is established. No allegation that it is established that it is a 100 crore liquor scam. It's Ajay Makhan's version.
So you're doing
Mr. Anil Chaudhary, give me, ma'am, why are you behaving like a...
from the Congress.
I mean, stop being an anarchist. I mean, you're in a TV debate, not on your Mohalla clinic or not in on your roadside show. So,
I'm happy to always be in a mohalla clinic. It's a
ma'am,
place where the
that
poor
Mohalla
get treated.
clinic killed 6
Where
children.
everybody gets fair treatment.
You know 3 children
I'm happy to be
died
in-
because of wrong medicine
okay,
being given
Preeti,
by the
Madam,
Mohalla
okay,
clinic.
let's
So
not
don't
digress
your Mohalla
here.
clinic.
Let's not digress
No,
here.
please,
We're
give me
talking
a
about the liquor
There-
gate. Yes,
there-
30 seconds, Arvind.
Yeah. There's another gentleman, Anil Chaudhary, who was the head of the Congress party in here, Delhi. He said, I am the one who has filed the complaint against Mr. Kejriwal's corruption. So this is not us only saying, this is all other political parties who were part of Delhi schemes has said so. So I don't understand why so much of halla now. And last, but give me a second. Last but not the least, there are 5 ministers in Punjab government of the Congress party who was sent behind bar by Mr. Kejriwal's government in Punjab for corruption charges by Vigilance Department. अरे किस मुंह से अपना बात कह रहे हो? I mean, that there's a witch hunt. I mean, you do it in Punjab is okay. I mean, if the
Sure,
ED
so the
does it in
argument of
Delhi
witch hunt, the argument of witch hunt and
Can I
vendetta
come
is
back
being
over here?
used as per convenience, alleges the BJP. Mahima Singh of the Congress also joins us. Before I get in the other panelists, 30 seconds for your rebuttal, Preeti Madam.
Vijay Nair is a leader of the Aam Aadmi Party and we are very proud of him, and he has been victimized by the BJP. He has been kept behind bars for 1.5 years, mainly because they have changed the PMLA law to allow a person to be kept indefinitely. So it is the lawmaking
Answer
and it is
that,
the
how was he
agencies
staying in
that are
Mr. Kailash
responsible for
Galot's
not giving us
bungalow,
bail.
the official bungalow of the minister? Who entitled him to stay in the official bungalow of the minister? In which minister was not staying. Minister was staying in his farmhouse, whereas Mr. Vijay Nair was operating from that bungalow.
was not operating from that bungalow. He was operating from the party office, and I'm happy to stay in any of my ministers' houses when I go to Delhi. Vijay Nair is also from Mumbai. He goes and stays with various people in Delhi.
No, not at various people. He was alone. He was alone, staying, operating from Mr. Kailash Galot's bungalow, the official bungalow of the minister. Minister was not staying in that bungalow. He was the conduit between the southern lobby and between the Aam Aadmi Party. He was the conduit. He was the interface between the southern lobby and the Aam Aadmi Party here in Delhi.
No money trail at all. There was
Okay, now
absolutely
money
no
trail
proof
also.
of
Give me a second, I'll tell you money trail
given
also.
to anybody at all.
Okay, ma'am, hear me
So
out,
let's
ma'am.
just come back
There's a guy named
Let's
Rajinder
come
Singh
back to
Solanki.
what political
Okay, there's a
vendetta is
gentleman
going on
named
in the
Rajinder
country.
Singh Solanki.
Congress's
He was
accounts were
contesting
frozen.
election in
Hemant Soren has been
Gujarat
arrested.
from Bardoloi
Kamala has been arrested.
on Aam Aadmi
Leaders have been
ticket.
arrested
He
across
was
India.
caught
This is
red-handed with
because
money.
RP Singh
And when he
his
was
party
caught
are
red-handed
scared
with
that they're
money,
going to
he
lose
said,
the
this
Lok
is
Sabha.
not my money.
The main
This
thing that
driver of
is
mine is a
BJP's
conduit
fear of a
between
massive
the
defeat
Delhi
in Lok
party
Sabha
and the
2024.
Gujarat party. He is the one who transfers money. It's on record. There's a complaint against that gentleman, Rajinder Singh
There is
Solanki.
nothing
I'm
on
naming
record. The only
gentleman.
thing on record is what your Tota, the
No,
ED
I'm
says.
telling you,
There is
I'm
nothing
naming the
on record.
gentleman. There is a
What
FIR against the
proof
gentleman because he was
against-
caught red-handed with
You can make
money.
any FIR tomorrow. You can
And he
file
said
an
on
FIR
record
against-
that this money
We are
came
all
from Delhi.
victims of
This
fake
money was
FIRs
transferred from
filed by
Delhi.
you.
So with that
Every
illicit
single
money,
day,
you were
BJP
contesting
is filing
election.
fake
With that
FIRs
illicit
against
money which you
opposition
earned through
leaders.
liquor
They're filing fake
scam,
FIRs
you
against
contested Punjab
ministers.
election, you
They're filing
contested
fake
Goa
FIRs
election,
against
you contested Gujarat
They're
election,
filing fake
you contested
FIRs
Uttarakhand
against
election.
citizens.
With all that illicit
It's a fact
money,
that the
this is
country
on
has to wake
record.
up
Sure,
to.
RP Singh
We
and
now have a
Preeti
government
Menon.
in place that is so terrified.
Sure, RP Singh and Preeti Menon, we've had your points taken. The opposition as a whole says this thing, that this is vendetta. The only leaders that are behind bars or are being investigated are one from the opposition. Before I get in the Congress, I want to get in Nishkaran Bhandari as well. Does this argument hold any water? Did Kejriwal not make it worse for himself by skipping several of those summons, by questioning their timing, by calling it illegal?
9 of them. 6 months.
Absolutely. See, let's be very clear. We are not in 2022 or 2023 where BJP can make allegation that Mr. Kejriwal is involved and Aam Aadmi Party can say he is not involved. In fact, that time Congress was also making an allegation Mr. Kejriwal is involved. We are in 2024. We have the benefit of various orders of the court, as the trial court, the High Court, as well as the Supreme Court. The grain and the chaff get separated in the court. ED has to prove its case in the court. So we have the benefit of all those orders. We are having a debate as if it's 2023. It is not. So what has the court decided? We'll come to that. Firstly, I don't know of any case except another CM where 9 summons are sent by any investigative agency before a person is arrested. That is a very long rope where a person has a chance to go to court, and there are 4 things you can go to court on. First, that the FIR itself is illegal, get the FIR quashed. That hasn't happened in the excise scam. The summons are to a wrong person, the summons are illegal, the summons can be stayed or can be quashed. That hasn't happened in this case. Then the third thing which comes in, if you get summons, is anticipatory bail. I don't recall any major person getting anticipatory bail in the case. The fourth step is, if you are arrested, after arrest, you get regular bail from the court. Mr. Manish Sisodia went till Supreme Court, regular bail hasn't happened in the court. So all 4 stages of judicial scrutiny have come in favor of the Enforcement Directorate, whatever be the political stand of anybody else. Now coming to Mr. Kejriwal's case in specific, please be very sure that there was a chance, and he had that chance his day in court in the Honorable High Court before a division bench, in which whatever the ED's case was seen by the Honorable Division Bench in chamber, because no investigative agency will open his books to a person who is an accused, because the accused may then destroy the evidence, intimidate witnesses, etc. That's a standard operating procedure. But the court in this case did see the evidence in chamber. That's what's been reported in legal portals. And 1 second, let me finish my point, please. Let me finish my point. After the court saw the evidence, the court did not give any relief. That is a part of the order. After the court does not give you any relief and you have had your day in the court, arrest necessarily follows, which has followed in this case. So we have to be very clear that because you do not get relief from the court, and in a case where other co-accused, be it Mr. Vijay Nair, which the ED says was living in the house next to him, or was arranging FaceTime call, or Mr. Sisodia, or anybody else, when no co-accused has gotten bail, what is the big deal in a person being arrested? It was a likely consequence of you not obeying summons or getting relief from the court.
Preeti Menon, several summons
I
were sent,
like
a
to comment
timeline
here. I
was
don't
set
know what-
by the Enforcement Directorate. All of that was disobeyed. Non-cooperation on part of Arvind Kejriwal is one of the biggest reasons that is being argued in court as well as to why the arrest was necessary.
I think non-cooperation against an illegal and illegitimate government has to be done. That's what Mahatma Gandhi taught us, and that's what we will do even now. This government is using the agencies to cover all opposition and to defeat them.
But it's the Enforcement Directorate, an independent agency that has sent you this notice. How can one unilaterally say that this notice against me is illegal? As an Aam Aadmi in this country, will I have that right, ma'am? Will I?
94% cases of the ED are against opposition leaders. It is not an independent agency. It can only be said by BJP spokespersons and their supporters like Mr. Bhandari that ED is an independent agency. The rest of the country knows that 94% cases are against opposition parties. The ED is nothing but a witch hunt show of the BJP.
Yes, Mr. Bhandari, I will let you come in.
That is not a justification that I think what's important over here to note is that we have objected to the summons legally and lawfully. We have given repeatedly notices back to the EDs to explain what capacity are we being asked to come in, what are the information that is sought from us.
And all of those went to court, and then the court decided to not give protection from arrest.
In the High Court. In the High Court, the matter was still sub judice and still being discussed, and a notice was given to the ED to explain, but the ED preempted anything that could happen in the High Court further by
there was nothing to be preempted, ma'am. There was no relief given to Arvind Kejriwal from arrest, which is why the arrest happened.
Yes.
But sure, Ishkaran Bhandari. Ishkaran Bhandari, go ahead.
Can I come in?
Yes, Ishkaran Bhandari, go ahead.
So Mr. Bhandari is a spokesperson for the BJP and he should identify himself as such. Because he said
ma'am, you made your point. Let's not make this personal. You made your point. Let's not make this personal. Let Ishkaran Bhandari respond, please.
He said that standard modus operandi to
let me just answer a simple point. The point is one second, it's a question to me now. It's a very simple point. We are a nation of laws. We are not a nation of anarchists. No individual can say a summon by any investigative agency is illegal. If you believe it is illegal, you go to court, you get a court order staying the summons, which happened in this case, and the court did not give an order. So we can be very self-satisfied by saying it's an illegal summons, it is a dictatorial summons, etc., etc. As a nation of laws in any democracy, the court has to decide whether it's an illegal summon or not. Otherwise, every accused in every case will say this is an illegal summon. That, of course, cannot be the stand, especially of a party born out of an anti-corruption movement.
Absolutely.
So let us be very clear, the court did not give you stay, the court did not give any protection, and as a nation of laws, we can have a political debate on what the summons is or is not, but as a matter of law, the summons were lawful, and the ED arrest, which flowed after the High Court not giving protection, is also a lawful arrest.
Absolutely. And speaking of law and the Constitution, Sumit Chandera, I also want to get you in on the fact that the Aam Aadmi Party says that we do not want to look for a successor. Even if Arvind Kejriwal is jailed and jailed for months, which he has been talking about for several months now, he is going to be the Chief Minister. He can run the government from behind bars. Is that not throwing the people of Delhi into a constitutional crisis?
This is a very interesting thing, Poonam, because so far there is no precedence, of course. And this is the first time where such a situation has arisen. Now, if we look at Article 356 of the Constitution, it says that wherever the President on receipt of a report is satisfied that a situation has arisen in which the government itself cannot be carried out in accordance with the provisions of the Constitution, then in that case, the President by proclamation may issue and assume to himself and take over. That is, the governor's rule can be made applicable, or the President's rule can be made applicable here. Now, but that is a situation only where the President is satisfied that a situation has arisen where the government cannot be carried out, governance cannot be carried out in accordance with the Constitution. Whether that has happened, not happened, normally the precedence is sitting in the jail, a Chief Minister, which has never happened. But would it be practical enough for that to be run? That is to be seen. Of course, it's a constitutional issue. It will go to the court whether such a thing can be allowed or not. But yes, this is something that still needs to be discussed, and I'm sure Supreme Court will take care of this when the matter reaches it.
Right, the constitutional crisis, and many would say that Delhi perhaps is on a cusp of that crisis if this continues the way it does, if everyone sticks to the stand that they have been taking. Mahima Singh, I want to get you in as far as the political ramifications of this are concerned. The BJP has also been speaking of the difference in stance of the Congress from not very long ago, maybe just last year, to now when you're in alliance with the Aam Aadmi Party. How do you think that augurs for you in election season? Today you stand with Arvind Kejriwal, the same man who you accused of corruption not too long ago, perhaps 6 to 8 months ago.
Jai Hind. In fact, a big thanks to the BJP and to PM Modi. If it were not for the Prime Minister, all those forces that have come together, all those forces fighting the anarchy, the tyranny in this country today, if it was not for the Prime Minister, this unity and solidarity of all the parties in question that have been victimized by the BJP's hubris would not have happened, in fact, Poonam. You see, it's not only the opposition parties today, it's every citizen of the country that is watching how this watershed moment in the history of India, in the political discourse today, is actually playing out. And right before the elections, first it was Jharkhand CM, now it is Delhi CM. These are public representatives, elected public representatives. And one has to remember, the fact is not only that 95% of these vendetta cases are against opposition leaders. The fact is also that, Poonam, that all these ED actions, CBI actions we have seen playing out before the elections in the past years. I will cite just two cases. Remember the case of Mr. P. Chidambaram and remember the case of Mr. D.K. Shivkumar. Both the cases were initiated right before elections, 2019, right before elections. Mr. P. Chidambaram was arrested, and how that went along, we all remember. But today, what is the fate of those cases? They are both acquitted because that is the reality of these cases. That is the reality of how the Enforcement Directorate is operating in this country today. These are, weaponized. These institutions, constitutional institutions, have been weaponized in an unprecedented manner by the BJP. Else, this kind of a disparity would not be so evident and apparent. So every citizen is pondering over this disparity of the functioning of these institutions today. And I'm very sure that the citizenry of this country will give a slap on the face of the BJP as when the results of this election come out.
I'm glad you spoke about the disparity because that exactly was my question and you haven't answered that.
I have answered it. I've answered it. We have come together against the unconstitutional means being applied by the BJP.
So a few months ago when leaders like Ajay Maka and Sandeep Dixit, the chief of the Delhi unit of the Congress, were alleging Kejriwal's role in the liquor scam, what was it then?
I told you, it is the BJP's hubris that we have all been subjected to, and we have come together because it is BJP versus the rest of the country today. That is what Mr. Jairam Ramesh has also indicated today in his reaction when he spoke in the evening, and he said that because the BJP has had an embarrassing stand on electoral bonds case, they have nothing to say. This is headline management, nothing else, Poonam. So we are standing together against the BJP. We may or we may not agree with each other. We may agree to disagree, which is the way of democracy. But we do not agree with the way the BJP is doing politics in this country. The BJP is opening the gates for tyranny in this country.
So are you suggesting, Mahima Singh, that you may not agree with the fact that Arvind Kejriwal is innocent in all of this?
I said we may agree to disagree on personal stances. But we certainly disagree with the ways the BJP is conducting itself anarchically in this country. That's
RP Singh, so whatever may be the reason, but the opposition has decided to come together. And their one-point mission, so to say, is to fight the BJP. And this is the cause that they have found common ground on.
Well, it's not to fight BJP, it's to save corrupt, basically. And they can go to any extent for that reason. Chor Chor Mussereba is a very famous thing in Hindi. And as far as Jharkhand goes, the Jharkhand Chief Minister is in because the complaint was filed by the local police on occupying a land through unauthorized means. I mean, it was the local police who filed the complaint, and on that basis ED reacted and acted on it. So they can do, and then also when they said CM will operate from the jail, it means they are mocking the mandate of the people. They are mocking the wisdom of the people of Delhi, if they do so.
I'm sorry to interrupt you there, RP Singh, but we just have news coming in from the Rouse Avenue Court where the hearing that took place, a marathon one at that, in the afternoon. The order of it is finally out. Arvind Kejriwal is going to be in ED custody until the 28th of March, which is a week from now. 1 week custody is what we're given to understand has been granted by the court. Remember, the Enforcement Directorate was seeking 10-day custody of Arvind Kejriwal. They wanted custodial interrogation to confront him with the other accused in the case, with the evidence in the case. But what the Rouse Avenue Court has now given or granted to the Enforcement Directorate is ED custody until the 28th of March. That's the latest that we are gathering coming in as far as the liquor policy case is concerned. We'll be joined by my colleague Ananya shortly, giving us more details of what exactly transpired after we saw the judge reconvene, or we saw the session reconvene. Remember, earlier in the afternoon, there was a marathon hearing between the Enforcement Directorate. ASG Raju, that was appearing for the Enforcement Directorate, argued that they have concrete evidence against Arvind Kejriwal in this particular case. Ananya is now joining us, getting us more details. Ananya, custody for the ED until the 28th of March?
Well, definitely the custody to the ED till the 20th of March, 6 days of ED remand is in which Mr. Arvind Kejriwal is going very, very clearly and categorically. The detailed order is yet to be out, but very clearly and categorically the ED submissions have been accepted by the court. Very clearly and categorically the ED, it is believed by the court that, his remand is necessary. And this also means, this puts a stamp that Arvind Kejriwal's arrest in this particular case is legal in nature, very, very clear and very, very clearly. We'll have to wait and watch for the detailed order copy to come out with regards to the reasons and observations that the court has given. But at this point of time, the court has pronounced that until March 28, Arvind Kejriwal will be in the ED's hands. He will be interrogated by the Enforcement Directorate, and the Enforcement Directorate would be quizzing him in this particular case till then.
Right, Ananya, catch your breath. We'll just come back to you to get more details from you as to what exactly transpired in court after the order was reserved. And then, of course, now that the custody has been granted, our panelists continue to be with us on this broadcast. Preeti Menon, 6 days of ED custody. Arvind Kejriwal is going to be behind bars. Given the precedent that we've seen in PMLA cases, bagging bail is extremely difficult.
That is absolutely something that we expected. We know that bail in PMLA cases is not to be expected because that is the way the BJP has changed the law. And we know that they've arrested Arvind Kejriwal to keep him away from campaigning in the 2024 Lok Sabha election. So we know that this is inevitable, but we are still sure that the country is together. The country will fight the BJP's corruption through the electoral bonds and other issues. The country will fight the oppressive policies.
The law was brought in by a Congress government who now is your ally.
And
several amendments have been made. Yes, several amendments have been made to it. Some of which were also suggested by Arvind Kejriwal when he was fighting the corruption movement.
The model of code of conduct, if you have arrested an opposition leader, there is only one reason, because you're scared of Arvind Kejriwal. And with that note, I have to exit because I have another debate. All the best to all of you. Thank you very much.
Sure, we'll try and get in another spokesperson from the Aam Aadmi Party here. But RP Singh, the allegation against the BJP has been the same, will remain the same. The law may have been brought in by the UPA during Mr. P. Chidambaram's time, but it was you, the BJP, that weaponized it.
Well, 14 parties went to the court, and then court turned it down, and again probably they have gone to the court, matter is sub judice, let the court decide on it. But fact is, 1 lakh crore has been confiscated by the ED from all these people who are involved in various cases of corruption, not only politicians, otherwise also. Recently, the 350 crore rupees were there at one of the MPs of the Congress party. Earlier, there was some money which was there at the house of the TMC member, minister, some 55 crore rupees. So, there is the case trails which are happening there, and cases are being followed and pursued. And again, I request the opposition, please hire the best lawyers, you have the best brains, legal brains, go to court, ask them to quash the cases against you, or ask them to pursue the cases which you say are the cases which ED should pursue, which ED is not pursuing. So instead of just coming and doing it, just coming and dabbling on the TV channel, please go to court and fight the cases, instead of just coming and shouting on the TV channels.
Sure. Sure, and we'll try to get in more voices from within the opposition reacting to this as well. Ishkan Bhandari and Sumit Chandel continue to be with us. But I first want to get in a word from my colleague Ananya, who was inside the Rouse Avenue Court tracking that marathon hearing and now, of course, the order. Ananya, over to you. Try and get us details of what exactly were the arguments that the ED made that the court found merit in.
Well, definitely. First of all, for the update of our viewers, ED custody till 20th of in fact, March is the fate of the Delhi Chief Minister as of now. What is very, very clear was the Enforcement Directorate had certain submissions to make, very, very importantly, saying that the whole excise policy was actually changed because of the Goa election, because there was funding needed in the Goa election. Not only this, Arvind Kejriwal, as per the remand papers that we have accessed exclusively for our viewers at CNN News 18, is clear that Arvind Kejriwal was not just somebody who was knowing about that particular policy. He was at the helm of the national capital at that point of time. He was the chief minister at that point of time and was actively involved in fact, this criminal conspiracy, which also involves various leaders of the South Group, including Ms. K. Kavita, who will be produced tomorrow. And the ED will be informing the court as to what it has done and what has come out from a 7 days remand. In fact, what can also happen is that more remand of K. Kavita would be can be sought with regards to confronting K. Kavita and Arvind Kejriwal, because that would be the showdown between the two top leaders. One from the South Lobby, one from, in fact, the national capital, the chief minister of the national capital, and a money trail of 45 crores has been established that was used in the Goa election, and 100 crore was something that Arvind Kejriwal had asked K. Kavita to arrange, of which 50 crores she was arranging by herself and 50 crores was being arranged by YSRC PMP Manguta S. Reddy, is what has come out from the corroborative statements of, in fact, various approvers and witnesses in this particular case. But more importantly, the Enforcement Directorate has clarified one clear thing, that though the Delhi Chief Minister was summoned in an individual capacity, those 9 summons were in individual capacity, but it has a dual case against Mr. Arvind Kejriwal. One, with regards to his individual role in this whole excise policy scam, and the second, the vicarious liability that comes up with the Aam Aadmi Party, because he is the national convener, and Aam Aadmi Party being one of the major beneficiaries of this particular alleged scam, Arvind Kejriwal can be liable for that as well. Poonam.
Right, do stay on with us. Arunima also joining us, getting us more details on this. The dual role of Arvind Kejriwal that's now under investigation, that could spell more trouble for him, isn't it?
Not so much for him, perhaps a lot for his political future and his party. Because if Aam Aadmi Party is going to be made, an accused in this case, I beg your pardon, what will it impact? What will happen if Aam Aadmi Party is made an accused? It means all their funding is blocked. ED has the power to attach everything that the Aam Aadmi Party owns in terms of assets, which means that they will not be able to utilize any of their funds. If they have any assets by way of office premises or anything similar, that will also be attached by the Enforcement Directorate. So in an election year, we are looking at Lok Sabha elections now, and in 2025, we are also looking at Delhi elections. So in the run-up to the state assembly elections also, Aam Aadmi Party will have a very, very, crisis-prone period staring at them. So that would be the fallout when Enforcement Directorate says that we are not just looking at him as Arvind Kejriwal, we are also looking at him as national convener of a party which received proceeds of this alleged crime.
Right, Arunima and Ananya, do stay on with us. Ishkaran Bhandari also with us on this broadcast. And Ishkaran, I want you to put this in perspective for our viewers as well. How badly would this affect the Aam Aadmi Party's political future? We are in election season. The state goes to elections next year as well. Given that the lens is already on kickback money being used for funding political campaigns like that in Goa, as the ED alleges, how will that fare for Aam Aadmi Party's political future from here on?
See, ED has the power to seize proceeds of crime. Now, whatever is a proceed of crime, and the ED case, as we see, is about 45 crores or maybe 100 crores being received as a kickback and then being used for political purposes through the political party in Goa. So if the ED is able to establish that case, and Mr. Kejriwal, as I told you, in High Court, when we were starting this debate, High Court not giving him relief meant he is likely to be arrested, which he was. And the remand hearing, anybody who heard the arguments and the sort of evidence presented by the Enforcement Directorate, it is not surprising that his remand has been given to the ED. The natural consequences of that...
राउज एवेन्यू की स्पेशल कोर्ट में पेश किया था। दोनों तरफ से वकील साहिबान की बहस हुई। ईडी 10 दिन का रिमांड मांग रही थी और उनका कहना था कि उन्हें मनी की ट्रेल जानने के लिए उनकी कस्टोडियल इंटरोगेशन करनी जरूरी है। 10 दिन की मांग रहे थे, पर जज साहिबा ने सारी चीज़ कंसीडर करके 6 दिन का रिमांड दिया है और अब वो 28 तारीख को यहाँ पेश होंगे दोबारा 2 बजे।
सर, क्या कुछ और ग्राउंड रखा गया और क्या कुछ
देखिए, उनकी तरफ से कहा गया कि जो पैसा गोवा में इस्तेमाल हुआ है वो इल गॉटन मनी थी और उनके पास कुछ ऐसे गवाहों के, जो उन्होंने कहा, बयान हैं जिससे पता चलता है कि उनको कैश की डिलीवरी हुई है परंतु हमारी तरफ से जो वकील साहिबान थे उन्होंने कहा कि इसमें कहीं भी अरविंद केजरीवाल जी का ना पहले कभी नाम था ना आज के दिन का नाम है, और जिन गवाहों के बयान ईडी ने रिकॉर्ड किए हैं उनमें भी उनका नाम कहीं नहीं है। ऐसे में उनकी कस्टोडियल इंटरोगेशन बनती नहीं है और हमने उसको अपोज किया था। पर अब 6 दिन का चूंकि रिमांड हो गया है, जज साहब ने कर दिया है, इसलिए अब वो 28 तारीख को यहाँ पेश होंगे।
सर एक सेकंड।
So very clearly you heard these are people from the legal team of Arvind Kejriwal, though these are not exactly the real lawyers, but they are from the Aam Aadmi Party legal team. They are part of, they are not the senior ones, but definitely they are too a part of filing and other things, and very clearly and categorically saying that they had put forth the very clear indication that Arvind Kejriwal had no role to play in the Delhi excise policy case. But we have to remember one thing, that since the very beginning of this case, every argument that the Aam Aadmi Party has been giving, whether it's for Manish Sisodia, whether it's for in fact Sanjay Singh, all of them have fallen flat. And in fact, in the case of Manish Sisodia, it has come up to the level of the Supreme Court, where the money trail was in fact the Supreme Court also believed that prima facie there is a money trail that the ED needs to investigate. Not only that, with regards to Mr. Kejriwal, there are several orders from in fact the court. Whether we talk of yesterday's order itself, Poonam, this is an order that was clearly given. Interim relief was denied. We have to understand, only after the material was seen by the court. The court was in the very beginning of that particular hearing, which I was a part of. I was there. Was questioning in fact the Enforcement Directorate as to why have you not established, as to why has he been called. In fact, it was also asked how were these summons issued. Why in fact Kejriwal was also asked as to why have you not appeared. But at the end of it, the court in the pre-lunch session said that please show us the material that you have against Mr. Kejriwal, else we will see if at all a no coercive action should be given, an interim protection should be given to Mr. Arvind Kejriwal. But after seeing that material, the court was very clear that at this stage we are not going to issue any kind of a no coercive action, and we are placing your petition for hearing on April 22nd, which leaves no bar for the Enforcement Directorate to go and search and arrest Mr. Arvind Kejriwal, which is a very clear legal position. They withdrew their petition from the Supreme Court even after seeking a urgent hearing, and even after a bench being constituted. They came before the Rouse Avenue Court, almost a 3-hour hearing, extensive hearing, 3 advocates, which is at least in my legal career of 8 years, I've seen this for the first time. The 3 senior advocates, Mr. Ramesh Gupta, Mr.
And yet, unfortunately for them, the arguments that they put forth did not seem to find merit. Ishkaran Bhandari, sorry we had to interrupt you there. Some reactions were coming right outside from the court, which we were getting for our viewers. But we're talking about the political prospects of the Aam Aadmi Party from here on, and of Arvind Kejriwal and senior leaders of his party as well.
See, there are 2 questions now which will arise, which are both legal and political. Whether he can remain a chief minister, because that's been the stand taken by the Aam Aadmi Party, that even if he's in jail and he does not get bail, they would keep him as chief minister. Now, when our constitution was being drafted, I do not think it could be envisaged that somebody in jail for a corruption case would be adamant and say, I will not resign as a chief minister. The other examples of sitting chief ministers, including the recent one of Mr. Hemant Soren going to jail, he resigned and we have a new chief minister from the same party and the government is running. So now this would lead to a constitutional crisis. In my view, because there is no judgment, we have to give our views. There is no authoritative law on this. It is not permissible because there is a jail manual. There are rules. Jail is not a guest house. You will not be able to have bureaucrats coming, conferences happening, files being signed. Everything is under scrutiny. You are not allowed to visit people except the visiting hours, etc., etc. Also, there are provisions of the constitution where if there is a breakdown of machinery, you cannot be a CM. But that is all opinion. In black and white, there is no judgment on this because nobody has ever taken this stand. Now, once this stand is taken, and today I've been told a PIL has been filed whether he can stay as a CM or not, but that's one part of it. The other parts, the court will have to decide and it will play out. My opinion is you cannot be a chief minister for various reasons while you are inside.
हवाला देने वाला एक व्यक्ति किस प्रकार से प्रशासनिक तंत्र के माध्यम से भ्रष्टाचार को परिभाषित करेगा, उसका ब्यौरा मिला अरविंद केजरीवाल और उनके कृत्यों के माध्यम से। मीडिया की एजेंसीज और जो वर्तमान में ऑनलाइन दस्तावेज मौजूद हैं, ये सभी दस्तावेज और मीडिया चैनल्स पर प्रसारित कुछ तथ्य दिल दहला देने वाले हैं। आज कोर्ट में जब ये तथ्य प्रस्तुत किया गया कि अरविंद केजरीवाल द्वारा चिन्हित विजय नायर के सौजन्य से कुछ विशिष्ट शराब कंपनियों ने बैठकर शराब की पॉलिसी बनाई, तो अरविंद केजरीवाल जी के किसी भी वकील ने इस तथ्य का खंडन नहीं किया। आज कोर्ट में कुछ बैंक ट्रांजैक्शंस का विशेष उल्लेख हुआ। एक बैंक ट्रांजैक्शन ऐसा जिसके अंतर्गत समीर महेंद्रू 1 करोड़ की राशि मेसर्स राधा इंडस्ट्रीज में ट्रांसफर करते हैं। दूसरा, कोर्ट में जो मीडिया की एजेंसीज के माध्यम से दस्तावेजों में ध्यान में आता है, विजय नायर को समीर महेंद्रू 2 से 4 करोड़ रुपया देते हैं। इसका भी अरविंद केजरीवाल ने खंडन नहीं किया, ना ही अपने आप को इससे दरकिनार किया। आज कोर्ट में सीबीआई और इंडियन पीनल कोड के अंतर्गत, पीएमएलए के अंतर्गत जितने केसेस दाखिल हुए थे और जो विविध कोर्ट्स के सम्मुख पेश हुए, उसके खिलाफ भी अरविंद केजरीवाल के लॉयर्स ने कोई स्पेसिफिक मंतव्य नहीं दिया। ऐसा अगर आप ऑनलाइन लीगल प्रोसीजर्स को रिपोर्ट करने वाली एंटिटीज का भी खाका पड़े तो ध्यान में आता है। केस के कुछ तथ्य हैं जो जानकारी में आता है कि आज कोर्ट के सम्मुख प्रस्तुत हुए। एक, कि 4/9/2020 दिल्ली सरकार एक एक्सपर्ट कमेटी बनाती है। उस कमेटी का बनना, ये ऑर्डर देने वाले, इशू करने वाले व्यक्ति का नाम है मनीष सिसोदिया। एक्सपर्ट कमेटी को चेयर करते हैं तब के एक्साइज कमिश्नर, और इस कमेटी ने 13/10/2020 अपनी रिपोर्ट सबमिट की, ऐसा जानकारी में आता है। एक्सपर्ट कमेटी की रिपोर्ट 31 दिसंबर 2020 में सार्वजनिक की जाती है और 14,671 फीडबैक्स आते हैं। ये सब अरविंद केजरीवाल जी की काउंसिल ऑफ मिनिस्टर्स में कैबिनेट मीटिंग में 5/2/2021 में प्रस्तुत होते हैं ताकि इसे एग्जामिन किया जाए। जो ग्रुप ऑफ मिनिस्टर्स बनता है उसमें 3 मुख्य लोग हैं, मनीष सिसोदिया, सत्येंद्र जैन, कैलाश गहलोत। मैं आपका ध्यान आकृष्ट करना चाहूंगी कि जो कोर्ट के सम्मुख दस्तावेज प्रस्तुत हुए हैं उसमें यह साफ इंगित है कि इन दस्तावेजों में बिना किसी कारण क्लैरिफिकेशन और मॉडिफिकेशन किया जाता है। बदला हुआ यह दस्तावेज दोबारा जनता के सम्मुख कभी प्रस्तुत नहीं होता। कुछ तथ्य ऐसे जिनसे अरविंद केजरीवाल जी ने आज कोर्ट में अपने लॉयर्स के माध्यम से एक बार भी अपने आप को दरकिनार नहीं किया। एक, मनीष सिसोदिया के अपने सेक्रेटरी ने 7 दिसंबर 2022 में ये कबूल किया कि मनीष सिसोदिया ने सी अरविंद नामक उस सेक्रेटरी को केजरीवाल के घर बुलाया, 30 पेज का डॉक्यूमेंट दिया। जब इस व्यक्ति को अरविंद केजरीवाल के घर बुलाया गया तब कमरे में मनीष सिसोदिया, सत्येंद्र जैन और अरविंद केजरीवाल उपस्थित थे। यह कहा गया है कि सी अरविंद मनीष सिसोदिया के सेक्रेटरी ने यह कबूल किया है कि मनीष सिसोदिया ने उनको इन सबकी उपस्थिति में कहा कि जो दस्तावेज थमाया जा रहा है वही ग्रुप ऑफ मिनिस्टर्स की रिपोर्ट बनेगी। उस दस्तावेज में कैसे शराब की कंपनियों को लाइसेंस मिलेगा, कितना प्रॉफिट मार्जिन होगा, ये सारे तथ्य थे। इसका भी खंडन अरविंद केजरीवाल के वकीलों ने नहीं किया। एक और तथ्य, बुच्ची बाबू सीए ऑफ मिस के कविता 23 फरवरी 2023 उन्होंने स्वयं ये स्टेटमेंट दिया कि विजय नायर, जिनको अरविंद केजरीवाल अपना माय बॉय कहकर संबोधित कर चुके थे, उन्होंने शराब के इस घोटाले के संदर्भ में ये ऑफर दिया कि कुछ पॉलिसी में ऐसा बदलाव हो सकता है जिससे कि कविता को मुनाफा हो। मात्र ये स्टेटमेंट नहीं है, कोर्ट में बुच्ची बाबू जो सीए हैं के कविता के, उनके व्हाट्सएप मैसेजेस भी उपलब्ध हैं, ऐसा कोर्ट के सम्मुख कहा गया। तब भी अरविंद केजरीवाल जी के वकीलों ने इस स्टेटमेंट का और स्टेटमेंट से संबद्ध व्हाट्सएप मैसेजेस का खंडन नहीं किया। सार्वजनिक रूप से दस्तावेज जो उपलब्ध हैं उसमें कोर्ट में जांच एजेंसी ने कहा कि अरविंद केजरीवाल ने घूस मांगी साउथ ग्रुप से। उसके संदर्भ में श्री एमएस रेड्डी का बयान पिछले साल का 6/7/2023 और 17/7/2023 स्पष्ट रूप से लिखा था कि अरविंद केजरीवाल ने सेक्रेटेरिएट के अपने ऑफिस में 16 दिसंबर 2021 शाम 4:30 बजे मिलने का समय दिया। मिलने का कारण जो दस्तावेजों में उपलब्ध है, अरविंद केजरीवाल का स्टेटमेंट एज पर एमएस रेड्डी कि हम दिल्ली में सबको बिजनेस करने के लिए बुला रहे हैं। कविता, डॉटर ऑफ चीफ मिनिस्टर तेलंगाना के चंद्रशेखर राव ने हमें अप्रोच किया है और अरविंद केजरीवाल की पार्टी आम आदमी पार्टी को 100 करोड़ रुपए देने का विषय रखा है। तत्पश्चात एमएस रेड्डी ने कहा कि 19 मार्च 2021 को कविता उनसे मिली और कविता ने उनसे कहा कि वो 50 करोड़ का अरेंजमेंट करें। इस व्यक्ति ने अपने बेटे से कहा कि आगे की कार्रवाई कविता के साथ करें और उस बेटे ने उनसे बतलाया कि 30 करोड़ इस शराब घोटाले के लिए देना सुनिश्चित हुआ है। दस्तावेज में यह भी कहा गया कि 25 करोड़ के कविता के 2 व्यक्ति नेमली बुच्ची बाबू और अभिषेक बोनपल्ली, इनको दिया गया। इसका भी खंडन आज कोर्ट में, जो सार्वजनिक दस्तावेज उपलब्ध हैं, उसका खंडन अरविंद केजरीवाल की लीगल टीम ने नहीं किया। दस्तावेजों की झड़ी में आज अगर आप इन दस्तावेजों को पढ़ेंगे तो जो सुबह से मैं आम आदमी पार्टी के प्रवक्ताओं का और विशेषज्ञों का वक्तव्य सुन रही हूं, they were asking where is the money, कितना पैसा दिया गया, कब किसको कहां दिया गया, इस सब का विवरण अदालत के सामने प्रस्तुत किया गया।
Good evening, this is Brass Tacks. I'm Zaka Jacob. Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal has been remanded to 6 days in Enforcement Directorate custody in connection with the alleged liquor gate scam. The ED, in fact, in its submission, in its remand application today before the court, called Mr. Kejriwal as the kingpin of the scam. Aam Aadmi Party protesters were out on the streets of Delhi. The AAP ministers, the likes of Atishi, Saurabh Bharadwaj, etc., were taken into custody. Even the leaders of the India Alliance, from Rahul Gandhi to Mamata Banerjee, have all been standing behind Kejriwal. But the moot point is this. Is Kejriwal and what has happened to him over the last 24 hours, as indeed over the last 18 months or so, since this Liquorgate scam came to light, is it being viewed in the eyes of the public as yet another corrupt leader who's been felled by Mr. Modi's anti-corruption movement? Or is this being seen as pure political vendetta? We'll get to all of that and more through the course of this big debate in a special edition of Brass Tacks, in which, perhaps for the first time in many, many years, perhaps for the first time in Indian political history, a sitting chief minister has been arrested on allegations of corruption and is now in the custody of the Enforcement Directorate.
पूरी तानाशाही है, सिर्फ और सिर्फ लोकसभा चुनाव जीतने के लिए ये तानाशाही की जा रही है।
इनको भी जेल में जाना पड़ा। सुप्रीम कोर्ट से लेके अन्य कोर्ट ने उनको राहत नहीं दी है। क्या अरविंद केजरीवाल कानून से ऊपर है?
ये कौन सी जादुई पुड़िया खाई है सत्तारूढ़ पार्टी ने कि हर अच्छाई वहाँ है, हर बुराई यहाँ है।
उन्हें किसी चीज़ के लिए गुनहगार पाया नहीं गया है। जेल में बंद रखना ये भी उनके साथ एक सोची समझी साजिश है।
All right, so let's decode the storm of charges and counter charges that happened in court today. This is a blow-by-blow account of the ED's case against the Chief Minister and the legal case presented by his lawyers in court today. So the ED said that the Delhi Chief Minister, and this was the big motion that they had in court today, where they said that the Delhi Chief Minister is the kingpin of this entire scam, that he was the one who sought kickbacks from various private liquor barons. The response to that from Kejriwal's legal team was that this is the first time in India's history that a sitting Chief Minister has been arrested. The ED's case was that the Delhi Chief Minister was directly involved in the formation of the excise policy. Remember, Mr. Kejriwal was Chief Minister without any portfolios. But the ED's contention was that he was the one who was directly responsible for the formation of the excise policy. To which Mr. Kejriwal's legal team responded by saying that the ED has not established why they needed to arrest Mr. Kejriwal in the first place. The ED's contention in court today was that Vijay Nair, who was a very close aide of Mr. Kejriwal, who used to be in charge of the public affairs of the Aam Aadmi Party, communications, etc., the ED alleges, was acting as the middleman between Kejriwal and what the ED calls the South Group, led of course by K. Kavita of the BRS. The legal team of Mr. Kejriwal responded by saying that a majority of the accused have not mentioned any direct dealings with Mr. Kejriwal on a one-on-one basis. Also, the ED went on to say that there is a YSRCP Member of Parliament by name Magunta Reddy. Magunta Reddy had said that the Chief Minister wanted 100 crores to fight the elections. Kejriwal's team has responded by saying that the weight of statements can only be considered during the course of the trial, at the stage of the trial, not right now. The ED's contention was that Vijay Nair, who was a close aide of Mr. Kejriwal, received 100 crore kickbacks from the South Group on behalf of Mr. Kejriwal. Mr. Kejriwal's team responded by saying that tracing the money trail is no ground for arrest of a sitting Chief Minister. The ED went on to say that a Hawala trail of 45 crores has been traced from the South Group to the Aam Aadmi Party, and which was put to use in the Goa elections that happened in 2022. The legal team responded by saying that there is no need to arrest over what are the contours of an alleged crime. That crime, of course, has to be proven in the court of law, basis evidentiary value. Right now, it's a mere allegation. The ED also went on to say that MS Reddy said that he was asked to arrange 10 crore payment to K. Kavita. Remember, K. Kavita was arrested last week in this case. She's also been remanded to ED custody. The legal team of Mr. Kejriwal responded to that by saying there is no direct evidence against the Delhi Chief Minister. The ED also went on to contend that apart from personal role, Mr. Kejriwal's role via the Aam Aadmi Party, because remember, this money went into the party coffers, and the allegation is that the party used this money for fighting elections in Punjab, Goa, etc. The legal team of Mr. Kejriwal has said that the ED misled the court for the summons. The reason is illegal. The arrest is illegal. So this were the arguments back and forth between the two sides, between the Enforcement Directorate lawyers and the lawyers representing Mr. Arvind Kejriwal. The point is this: of course, the legal fight will continue, and the legal fight is what will establish whether these charges have any basis, whether these charges have any evidence that back them. But that is not what is important right now. What is important right now is it is coming just a few weeks before the Lok Sabha elections. The contention of the India Alliance is this entire thing has been done with elections in mind and for purely political purposes. The contention of the BJP is you cannot fault the Enforcement Directorate for the timing here, because it was Mr. Kejriwal who skipped 9 summons. Had he shown up for any of those summons, then the timing would have been inconsequential. But let me go across To our guests who are joining us, Sanju Verma is National Spokesperson of the BJP, Abhinandita Mathur is Spokesperson of the Aam Aadmi Party, Dr. Shama Mohammed is National Spokesperson of the Congress Party, Deshratan Nigam is an advocate. Let me first go across to Sanju Verma. Sanju Verma, the contention by the legal team of Mr. Kejriwal is that the first time in India's history a sitting Chief Minister has been arrested. The only reference to Mr. Kejriwal is 2 times in the charge sheet. One, an alleged video FaceTime call between him and Sameer Mahindru, and the other, an alleged meeting between the son of a YSRCP MP and Mr. Kejriwal. If the ED had a watertight case against Mr. Kejriwal, why are they not naming him as an accused in the charge sheets that they have filed so far in this case?
You know, Zaka, taking your logic ahead, my simple question is, show me one sitting Chief Minister who called himself a Kattar Imandar, who said that he's come in to transform political discourse and the manner in which politics is conducted in India. And today, he epitomizes all that is wrong with a political party. He's the symbol. His party stands for incompetence, corruption, dishonesty, quid pro quo, and so much more. I, in fact, will go so far as saying that if you read section 17, 18 and 19 of the PMLA Act, which talks about the sweeping powers of the ED with respect to search and seizure, and you read that in conjunction with section 24 of the PMLA, which talks about the reverse burden of proof. What do these two things say? In the case of section 24, reverse burden of proof, the accused has to prove that he or she is innocent and not guilty. It is not the job of the probe agencies to do so. Despite that, despite the fact that Kejriwal was mollycoddled, he rejected 9 summons. As per the PMLA Act, if after 3 summons you still don't comply and come for interrogation, the Enforcement Directorate, while section 45 of the PMLA is bound to, has the prerogative to suo moto arrest you. Did the ED do that? No. It waited for the Rouse Avenue Court, the Patiala House Court, the Delhi High Court, the Supreme Court, bar. October 2023 was the first time summons were given to him. He was asked to appear on the 2nd of November 2023. Today we are in 2024. More than a year has passed since the first summon was given to him. I will say the ED actually has not been draconian. If anything, the ED gave him a long rope. यदि आपको किसी चीज का डर नहीं है, why did you not comply with the summons? Because I will tell you one more thing. Very quickly, they say in any criminal offense, you have Deshratan Nigam, he will talk in detail about the legal aspect of it. But purely for the benefit of your viewers, I will say this much. This even a legal person does not need to, a layman should also know this. In any criminal offense, there are 3 things which are important: malafide intent, proceeds of crime, and money trail. In October 2023, a 2-judge bench led by Justice Sanjeev Khanna and SVN Bhatti said tentatively, quote unquote, a money trail of 338 crores has been established. The Enforcement Directorate press release of 17th March 2024 says proceeds of crime of 128.79 crore have been established, and there is a quid pro quo of 100 crores, wherein K. Kavita gave 100 crores to Aam Aadmi Party.
No, ma'am, one second. With due respect, that's a press release of the Enforcement Directorate. Surely that is not gospel truth. Okay? So let's be very, very clear about these things. This matter has to be gone into by the court, and it is still the onus of the Enforcement Directorate to provide material evidence to prove a money trail. So if they are saying that Mr. Kejriwal is an accused, then they are well within their right to do so. They have produced, one second, they have produced certain material, but the court has to peruse that material, and the court has to be convinced that that material is evidence enough to convict the Delhi Chief Minister. But be that as it may, that is a matter for a later date. Let me ask Abhinandita Mathur, the contention of the Enforcement Directorate is this: number one, that there was a video call between the Chief Minister and Sameer Mahindru, who's an accused in this case, who's a direct beneficiary of the change of liquor policy. Another accused, Mr. Dinesh Arora, has said under 164 CRPC that he met Kejriwal and discussed funding. The ED in its charge sheet also claims that Vijay Nair, who was a very close aide of Mr. Kejriwal, the communications head of the Aam Aadmi Party, was acting at the behest of Mr. Kejriwal. The remand note of one of the accused, Mr. Amit Arora, a remand note from the court of law, not an ED document, not an ED press release. A remand note from the court of law has said that one of the accused, Amit Arora, has mentioned that he met Kejriwal vis-a-vis this liquor policy. Also, it says that Mr. Sisodia's former PS claimed that the excise policy report, the changed policy report, was given at the Chief Minister's residence, and that one of the YSRCP MPs, Manguta Reddy, and his son were welcomed into the liquor business by the Chief Minister of Delhi. This is the Enforcement Directorate's case against Mr. Kejriwal. The ED believes this is a watertight case, that they have not just one or two, but multiple accused persons who have said that Mr. Kejriwal was directly in the know of this change of liquor policy. And are you suggesting to the viewers who are watching today, Abhinandan Mathur, that such a big development happened, from 5% to 12% commission happened, that got scrapped in a year, and the Chief Minister was unaware about it?
Thanks, Zaka. But even before that, what I would actually like to first convey to the viewers is our gratitude, because I think the kind of supportive messages that we are getting, especially from people in Delhi, it's very encouraging for us. I don't think that, we need a Sanju Verma to really shout and, tell us, tell the people what the truth is, because if you shout in that way, I don't think anybody is really going to listen.
Your leader is cooling his heels in lockup. Your leader is cooling his heels in lockup.
Thanks to you. Thanks to you.
No, not this way, not this way, not this way. One at a time. My question was to Ms. Mathur. Only Ms. Mathur will respond, please. Everybody else, out of the frame. Thank you.
So all that is happening, now one part of it is the legal procedures. The other is the political context in which all this is playing out. And I think both these things go hand in hand, are relevant, because as we know, the political will, the political mandate influences everything, because essentially the ministers are lawmakers. PMLA was amended. It was amended in a way that the onus of proving yourself innocent had to then be on the accused. Anyway, without going into the details of that, I think the simple fact is, and the BJP right now stands completely exposed. ये मन घड़न कुछ बनाया इन्होंने liquor policy का scam. Okay, then they go after it. 2 साल हो गए. They take Manish Sisodia, they take Vijay Nair, they take Sanjay Singh ji, they take a lot of other people. Nothing has been found.
No, but Ms. Mathur, 1 second. Why you should explain to the viewers of Delhi why any of these Diggaj Jan, whether it is Mr. Sisodia, Mr. Nair, or any of the accused, are not getting bail from the Supreme Court. It's been 2 years. Why are they not getting bail?
Sure, I'll explain it. The reason why they're not getting bail is that in the current PMLA law, lower courts do not grant bail very easily. Number one. The second point is that the Supreme Court has also observed that there is no need to delay bail, that there is no need to keep people imprisoned, and they have also observed that such thing is happening. Now,
but the Supreme Court itself has rejected bail, not just the lower courts. It's gone all the way to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court has rejected bail.
Well, that is because, by this time, the ED is fabricating many other charges, as if Manish Sisodia was going to fly away. And these are, Baka, we all know that the legal Dow page, once you pass somebody, it can take years and years. Has there been has Arvind Kejriwal been named in the charge sheet? Without being named in the charge sheet, you cannot. I mean, how do you arrest a sitting
One second. Let's be very clear about this. Even when Mr. Sisodia was arrested, he was not named as an accused in the charge sheet. It got subsequently added in a supplementary charge sheet. So you can arrest people even if they are not named as an accused. But be that as it may, that's a limited point. Shama Mohammed, Dr. Shama Mohammed, the point is the India Alliance. If you feel so strongly, and you've been saying from the rooftops day after day, Rahul Gandhi keeps saying democracy under threat, democracy frozen, democracy this. I mean, nothing seems to be happening. Yes, Mr. Kejriwal, the Chief Minister of Delhi, has been arrested. He has been produced duly in court. The court has remanded him to ED custody. There were a few protests by Aam Aadmi Party supporters and workers outside ITO today, and that was that. Other than tweeting condemnation, none of the India Alliance leaders have actually shown up if they so emotionally felt so strongly about this.
Okay, first and foremost, Zaka, there is an undeclared emergency in this country. And most of all, today the India Alliance went to the Election Commission, maybe you don't know about it, and spoke about what is happening at this time when the Model Code of Conduct is there. According to me, they want to divert from what is called the biggest scam in the Indian history after independence, that is the electoral bond scam. So they always, if you look at how the BJP functions, is diverting from the main issue. Now, I heard...
So you're saying Mr. Kejriwal's arrest is a diversionary tactic. It's less important than electoral bonds.
See, it's a diversionary tactic, and of course they're acting against, they want to break the back of the India Alliance. Now let's look at it from one angle. There is this person, they have arrested, before I go to that, she has mentioned how Kejriwal is whatever. I believe that whoever is corrupt, whether they are in opposition or in the government, should be arrested. Now, let us look at the case of Ajit Pawar. We never said...
No, one second. One second. Is the Congress party stand that if Mr. Kejriwal is corrupt, he should be arrested? Is that your stand tonight?
My stand or our stand is whoever is corrupt should be arrested. It is not whether it's in the opposition or... That's why I'm taking Ajit Pawar's case. Let me just finish, Zaka. I did not interrupt anybody. Just give me 2 minutes.
Sure. Okay.
So Ajit Pawar's case, it was Devendra Fadnavis who said in 2014, we will send Ajit Pawar behind bars. It is never the Congress party. Kirit Somaiya brought the case in. Last year, last year, when the Ajit Pawar faction came with the Prime Minister, just 1 week before, the Prime Minister said 70,000 crore irrigation scam, we will arrest Ajit Pawar. Now, our question today is, what happened to that case? Why is it not going ahead? Same thing with the Chief Minister of Assam. Louise Burgess scam, it is not us. It is them who said a CBI probe is on, he's corrupt. Suvindu Adhikari, it is them who said that he's involved in the Sharda scam. So what we are seeing is a pattern where ED is weaponized and you go after the opposition. Also, in this particular case of Arvind Kejriwal, in 2022, a man called Sarat Chandra Reddy was arrested. All right. As soon as he was arrested, he gave 5 crore to electoral bonds to the Bharatiya Janata Party. In 2023, when the charge sheet, when he turned approver, 35 crores were given, and they went to the court and said, ED, they said that there is no case against him. So it is very clear how the ED is functioning. This is the problem.
So the ED has been weaponized. Before I go to Deshratan Nigam, Sanju Verma, please respond. This case that she's referring to, Sharat Chandra Reddy, is from Aurobindo Pharma. And now that the electoral bonds data has been released by the SBI and by the Election Commission of India, it shows that 5 days after there was a raid on Aurobindo Pharma and Sharat Chandra Reddy, they donated 5 crores to the BJP, and eventually Mr. Reddy and this company got let off in this same liquor gate scam. That's the allegation from the Congress party. Please respond.
Zaka, I need to address your audience. I'm not going to respond to baseless and reckless allegations by the Congress party. I will tell you something very interesting about the electoral bond issue, because people have been saying, "Arey, this is the biggest scam in post-independent India." Yes, I am not disputing the fact that the BJP took more than 8,200 crores via electoral bonds. But let your audience not forget that the Congress has taken and encashed more than 1,974 crores via electoral bonds. Let the Congress not forget that TMC, Mamata Banerjee's party, has encashed bonds of more than 1,708 crores. Let the Congress not forget that their biggest ally, the DMK, got 657 crores via electoral bonds, out of which 509 crores, 77%, they received from Future Gaming. And Future Gaming has its biggest network in Coimbatore, which is not ruled by the BJP, and in West Bengal, which is not ruled by the BJP. And if you look at SBI's latest data, what does it say? It says that the biggest donor to electoral bonds is a company called Megha Engineering. And the largest amount of unaccounted cash transfer from Megha Engineering via electoral bonds was to the Congress party. So
but ma'am, what about the specific charge that there are companies... Once again, there are companies against whom there were grave charges who were raided by these agencies. Within a few days, they make contributions through electoral bonds to the BJP, and then those companies are let off. That's a very specific and grave charge. You need to address that tonight.
I am addressing the specific charge, and the specific charge is this, Zaka. Let your audience know which is the biggest donor, Megha Engineering. Do you know that in 2023 July, Megha Engineering wanted to set up a $1 billion joint venture with Chinese EV maker BYD? If the Modi government was looking at self-gratification because Megha Engineering could have given us money or did not give us money but was likely to give us money, we would have approved the joint venture. Why did we not approve the joint venture? Then the other allegation, people say Santiago Martin is the owner of Future Gaming. His son, Charles Jose or Jose, however you pronounce it, he joined the BJP in 2015 because there are pictures of him circulating with Ram Madhav. Mujhe batao, if Santiago Martin's son joined the BJP, why is it that BJP is not the biggest beneficiary of electoral bonds from Santiago Martin's company Future Gaming?
Okay.
Why is it that Santiago Martin gave money to DMK?
Let's come back to the Kejriwal issue, please. Let's come back to the Kejriwal issue. Deshratan Nigam, the irony of Mr. Kejriwal's arrest, and of course, like I keep saying, ultimately the evidentiary value will be perused by the court, and the court has to come to a conclusion that there is evidence to show that Mr. Kejriwal was in the know of A, the change of liquor policy, B, how it benefited private contractors, and C, how that money, which the private contractors then allegedly routed back as kickbacks to the Aam Aadmi Party, all of this was an active conspiracy in which Mr. Kejriwal was a part. But the irony here, Deshratan Nigam, is that the amendment that was made to the PMLA, which everybody is, crying hoarse about, the first amendment that happened was in 2013, which is under Section 3, the mere possession of proceeds of a crime could be an offence. That prima facie possessing proceeds of a crime gives precedence over criminal intent. Now, what this means is if person A deposits tainted money in the account of person B, then person B will also be punished whether or not that person B was party to the conspiracy to the proceeds of this crime. Now, this was a change that was brought forth in 2013 when the UPA was in power, and this was one of the demands of the India Against Corruption movement. At the height of the IAC, this amendment was brought forth and passed in Parliament. Today, this amendment is one of the reasons why Mr. Kejriwal is behind bars, because the ED's contention is he was one of the beneficiaries. His party was one of the beneficiaries of proceeds of crime, whether or not he willingly or intently took part in the conspiracy.
Yes, Zaka, there are other ironies as well. Most of the cases against opposition parties are on the complaints of each other. The Congress took the credit of filing the first complaint. What could be more ironical? Now they are, giving up that complaint almost by aligning with the Aam Aadmi Party. And let me tell you, the trial will see. Everything will be seen in the trial, as you rightly pointed out. And that why have they come together? That's the issue. Only to defeat Mr. Modi. There are no ideological, semblances between them. There is nothing common between them. The only ground for coming together is the one basis, which is corruption, and the other is to defeat Mr. Modi, nothing else. And therefore, the voters of this country are quite discernible, and they will see as to whom to vote and whom not to vote.
But Deshratan Nigamji, aren't the voters also discernible to see that once the model code has kicked in, the election process has kicked in, first phase of voting is less than a month, they go and arrest a sitting chief minister. I believe this is the first time a sitting chief minister has been arrested. Aren't the voters also discerning, not discerning that?
Let me tell you, Zaka, today the entire administrative machinery is under Election Commission of India. Model Code of Conduct does not bar criminal prosecution or arrest. Please understand that. And the war on corruption should be clearly there. Prime Minister said zero tolerance for corruption. And another important factor which is coming up, whether he can run his government from the jail.
Yeah.
Not many people have been able to answer that. The rule of 2018 of the Delhi jail
manual, yeah.
Rule 585 clearly says there are only 2 meetings are allowed to a person who is under trial, and he can meet his family members, relatives, friends, and their lawyers. Nobody else. Please understand that. So the jail manual actually prohibits any governance of or running of business, whether it is a private company, corporate house, or the government from the jail. This law is very clear. It was passed by, and this was upheld by Delhi High Court and subsequently upheld by the Supreme Court, Justice Bela M. Trivedi and Justice Pankaj Mittal's bench also.
Okay.
Please understand that.
So, Abhinandita Mathur, this whole bravado, grandstanding that, oh, Mr. Kejriwal will continue to be Chief Minister. 2 points. One, there is no such provision in the law. As Deshratan Nigam said very clearly, 1349 of the jail manual very clearly says you cannot be bringing in files, you cannot be bringing in, government officials into the jail, you cannot be conducting meetings in jail. So clearly it's infructuous. There is no provision where proceedings or the administration of a state, even of a half state like Delhi, can happen within the four walls of a jail. So that in itself is a flawed argument that's being put forth by the Aam Aadmi Party. And number two, this would also entail, what stops the Lieutenant Governor of Delhi from turning around and saying, after all, the Chief Minister is the head of the Council of Ministers, the administration works under his prerogative. If there is no Chief Minister, what stops the LG from saying that this is a constitutional breakdown, and therefore under 239 and 239AA of the Union Territory of Delhi Act, please go ahead and impose President's rule?
We will not be surprised if the Lieutenant Governor actually goes ahead and does something like this. That is what they've been wanting to do, because there is no way that the BJP is able to actually defeat the Aam Aadmi Party and Arvind Kejriwal in the assembly elections. He is a sort of a thorn for him, because for Modi ji and the BJP, because they've not been able to electoral defeat, and which is what now the Lieutenant Governor, what does he do? He goes for some photo ops and he just stalls work of Arvind Kejriwal government.
No, but if there's no Chief Minister, he's well within his right to say that this is a constitutional breakdown.
Well, yes, there will be, I'm sure there will be provisions where he can take these actions. But what I'm saying is that there is no moral responsibility or Raj Dharma of anybody associated with the BJP or of the BJP. So these are two different things. I'm not questioning, Advocate Nigam's opinion, the legal opinion. But all I'm saying is that we will not be surprised. And I come back to the point that all these things happening in a political scenario. There's one more point to make, which is that Sanjuji must tell us that what is the association of the BJP with this Aurobindo Pharma. Very interesting. They get arrested. The owner, Mr. Reddy, gets arrested. Then he donates 5 crore rupees to the BJP through electoral bonds. Then he turns approver from being a co-accused, and he donates 25 crore. Just want Sanjuji to speak, very sharply about this, and, keep your focus here. Don't go on, waisa karta hai, wo waisa karta hai.
No, I asked her that question. I have asked for a sharp response. I'll try again. So, Sanjay Verma, please respond on the point about Aurobindo Pharma, because after all, he's also an accused. He was also an accused in this very same case.
Absolutely.
Zaka, let me make
let Sanjay Verma respond. Yeah.
Zaka, I will respond to both the allegations, though I don't think, Ulta Chor Kotwal ko dante, the Aam Aadmi Party has any political high ground or moral high ground to question the BJP. But since she's asked a question, I'm the last person to run away from pointed rebuttals. First and foremost, very clearly, she said, and this is what Atishi also said yesterday immediately after Kejriwal's arrest. केजरीवाल ही सिर्फ मोदी जी का विकल्प थे, इसलिए केजरीवाल को जेल में डाल दिया, बिकॉज मोदी जी केजरीवाल से घबरा गए हैं, डर गए हैं, और मोदी जी तो केजरीवाल को देखकर थर-थर कांपते हैं. So let me tell you, Zaka, BJP Lok Sabha 2019, we had a vote share of 57% and we won all the 7 seats. Lok Sabha 2014, we had a vote share of 47%. Even then we won all the 7 seats. And in Lok Sabha 2019, Aam Aadmi Party won 0 seats and vote share कितना था इनका? 18%. Even lower than the Congress, which got 23% vote share from Delhi in LS 2019. Now let me come to this. Yes, now please keep
going. Let her respond. Once again, Abhinandita ji, please let Sanju Verma respond, please. Yeah.
Let me please make it very clear that there are umpteen number of companies who have given money via electoral bonds to the Congress, the DMK, the YSRCP, the BJP. I said that at the start. But have investigation proceedings against Magunta Reddy been disbanded? No. He has turned an approver, and under Section 306 of the CRPC, if you turn an approver, that does not mean that you will be declared innocent और आपके खिलाफ जो investigation है उसको derail और disband किया जाता है. You claim you're a lawyer, don't you know this basic? तो investigation तो जारी है. He has turned an approver. आपको क्या दिक्कत है? Are you scared that more skeletons will tumble out of your Delhi liquor scam cupboard?
Okay.
Because now that Magunta Reddy has turned an approver.
Okay.
आपके पेट से इतना उबाल क्यों हो रहा है?
Anyway, let me go to Dr. Shama Mohammed. Dr. Shama Mohammed, it is the Congress party, not the BJP, that first brought forth the liquor scam or the liquor gate allegations. Today, the Congress party is caught between a rock and a hard place. On the one hand, you have to defend your ally, you have to come out and express tweets and solidarity. Yet at the same time, you're also saying, and I asked you, you said whoever is corrupt, the law should take its course. The law is taking its course. That is what has happened today.
No. So that is what I'm saying. Why is the law not taking course on what happened with Ajit Pawar?
But that doesn't mean the law won't take course with Arvind Kejriwal.
Law has to take its course.
Law. That does not mean that the law will not take course with Arvind Kejriwal.
That's what I pointed out, the discrepancies in this.
Fair enough.
Isn't it?
But should it apply to Arvind Kejriwal or not?
What I'm saying is, I showed you the discrepancies in this case.
I got that.
Giving you examples. Let me finish. She has not spoken a single word on Ajit Pawar, Sudhindu Adhikari, Himanta Biswasa Sarma. Now, she pointed out that we have got electoral bonds, okay, just like they've got. There is a difference. When we got the electoral bonds, there is the Supreme Court clearly said in its judgment, there should be a level playing field. Of course, all of us took electoral bonds because that was a law which came from this government, the Finance Bill 2070. Let's understand that. Number two, there was never a quid pro quo because we can't have a quid pro quo as well as we don't have the ED.
Once again, you're in power. You're in power in at least 3 states in this country. What do you mean there is no quid pro quo? I'm not saying there was. Once again, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying there was. Once again, ma'am, there are 3 state governments where the Congress party is in rule. If there is quid pro quo, as you allege, with the BJP, central government and 14, 15 other states that they're in power in, then the same allegation can be made against you as well. To say, oh, there's no quid pro quo with us because we're not in power in the center, that's a very lame argument. But please go ahead. Yes.
I'm sorry, Zaka, you're being very partisan.
No, I'm not being partisan, ma'am.
I'm going to give you evidence, no? I'm going to give you evidence.
Okay, go ahead, give evidence. Yes, I'm waiting for your evidence.
Mega engineering,
yes.
140 crore.
Yes.
Just 1 month later, they were awarded 14,400 crore Thane Borivali Twin Tunnel Project.
Okay.
Jindal Steel, 7th October 2022. They gave 25 crore. They got Gair Palma Coal Mine on 10th October 2022. Now the other one is where they threatened. IT department raided Shirdi Sai Electricals in December 2023 and in January 2024 they donated rupees 40 crore through electoral bonds all to BJP. Future Gaming and Hotels has donated rupees 1,000 crore to Bharatiya Janata Party, making it the largest. So what you can see, ED rates Future Gaming 5 days late on 7th April. 5 days later, they gave 100 crore. So there is quid pro quo, there is threat. You have to show evidence where the Congress party has done something like this. You can't simply say, I'm giving you
Sanju
evidence.
Verma, she's given you three or four specific examples of companies who donated and then within a few days they either get a contract or the raids are taken off. Basically, the Congress party is alleging this is evidence of quid pro quo.
Zaga, now you please, listen to this very carefully. Rather, your audience needs to listen to this very carefully because even I come with a lot of data. I'm saying electoral bonds, you get money via check. I don't want to sound foul of the Supreme Court.
We don't know.
No, Shama Mohammed, once again. No, Shama Mohammed, no, not the way. Sanju Verma will finish your point, yes.
Yeah. Zaka, in electoral bonds, you don't get money through the Hawala or cash route. There is a digital trail, electronic trail, and there is a paper trail. But we are not here to dispute the Supreme Court verdict. I will give you some very interesting data on Mega Engineering. Mega Engineering has 3 companies. Western UP Power Transmission Company Limited, which donated 220 crores to the Congress and the DMK. SEPC Power, which donated 40 crores only to the Congress party. It did not donate a single penny to the BJP. And then Mega Engineering's 100% subsidiary called Avis Trans Private Limited. It purchased electoral bonds worth 6 crore and that money was given to the Congress and the DMK again.
No, but ma'am, what about the allegation that Mega Engineering gave you 140 crore and within few days of that you awarded them a 14,000 crore contract?
Okay, so so I want to ask you one thing, Zaka. By that same logic, now let your audience listen to this. Renigunta Naidupetta Road project and 960 megawatt Polavaram hydropower project, and there is another power project in Telangana which has been approved recently, one in Zahirabad, one in Adilabad, and this is after the 220 crore worth of money that was given via SEPC and the other two subsidiaries of Meta Engineering. So are you telling me that you are now not going to, you are going to reject the approvals given to the power plants of Meta Engineering?
I'm afraid I'm out of time. I'm going to leave it at that. Like I said, I want to bring it back to the focus on Mr. Kejriwal. He is going to be spending the next 6 days in Enforcement Directorate custody. He is going to be spending the festival of Holi in Enforcement Directorate custody. Ultimately, the facts of this case, the nuts and bolts of this case have to be proven in a court of law. And from whatever we've seen vis-a-vis timelines, whether it is Manish Sisodia or Satyendra Jain or Sanjay Singh, I don't think that's going to happen in a hurry. But what could likely happen in a hurry, and this is where it gets interesting, is in the next month or so, in the next couple of months, there is elections, national elections. Of course, people of Delhi will have a say as well. Whether or not this becomes an election determinant issue for the people of Delhi, that is entirely dependent on how the India Alliance and the Aam Aadmi Party, how and what they make of this issue, and whether they are able to drum up enough support in what they keep saying every day about murder of democracy, etc. But will that necessarily translate into an election-defining issue? Up next, an exclusive chat with Mahesh Jethmalani, Senior Supreme Court Advocate and Rajya Sabha MP, on the legalities surrounding this case, and also the opposition's claim that this is entirely politically motivated because it comes within a few weeks of the elections which are due. Mahesh Jethmalani. All right, to try and get a legal perspective on this, joining me now is Senior Supreme Court Advocate Mr. Mahesh Jethmalani. Thank you very much, Mr. Jethmalani, for speaking with us here on CNN News 18. The Enforcement Directorate, in its arguments before the court today, has called Mr. Kejriwal the kingpin of this entire Liquorgate scam. Can you take our viewers through why this is such an important development, and also the question about the Aam Aadmi Party, which is raising this whole contention that this whole thing, this whole Liquorgate and this arrest has been done just weeks before the Lok Sabha elections, the model code of conduct is in place, and this entire thing reeks of political vendetta. How would you respond to that?
Zaka, let me answer both questions in sequence, right? Although the source of this entire liquor excise scam, and as you will probably see from my own personal understanding of this matter and some feedback, the origin of the liquor excise policy scam is in Telangana, right? And that's why Kavita has been arrested and refused bail. The model for how to do this, right? Basically what they were doing was they were replacing state revenues and giving it all to the party by having retailers in the liquor trade to be entirely their own people. So the kickbacks would come directly to them. All the retailers who were their people would give the kickbacks to the respective party. The model started in Telangana, right? So if you see the case against Kejriwal and the others in the Delhi scam, the liquor excise policy scam in Delhi, right? They picked up this model, and actually this model was imported by them with the help of what is called the Southern Group, of which Kavita is a member.
Okay.
Now, the whole policy in Delhi, the idea behind the Delhi scam was to replicate the Telangana scam, and the Southern lobby came and transported that model to Delhi. In fact, I believe that the Delhi model outdid in terms of aggrandizement, taking money, right? Even the Telangana model, and there is sufficient evidence to implicate that this was the mastermind of this idea. The brainchild was Kejriwal.
But Mr. Jethmalani, the contention that the opposition has been making is that everybody from Rahul Gandhi, all other India Alliance members are all saying that this case has come to light when the charge sheet was filed. The first charge sheet was filed somewhere at the end of 2022. We're now in the fag end of March of 2024. So having waited more than 2 years to press these criminal charges and to arrest one of the leaders of the India Alliance, just when the model code of conduct has kicked in. The allegation from the opposition is that the Modi government is worried. They're not going to get anywhere close to the 400 seats that they publicly say that they will get, and therefore, to try and divert attention, they are arresting one of the India Alliance leaders. What do you say to that?
So that was your second question, and I didn't answer it the first time around, but you repeated that question, right? As to timing, right? Now, timing, look, the law is no respecter of time. Just because something is discovered, you can attribute motives. So this is a very diversionary argument. Why the timing? Kejriwal has been summoned 7 or 8 times. I've lost count of how many times he was summoned and
9
how many times he kept saying this is political, right? But the fact of the matter is, there's a court who will analyze the evidence. Right? And as far as the timing is concerned from the investigating agency's point of view, they will move at a time when they collect sufficient evidence. After all, he's the chief minister. They will need the evidence of co-accused of other people, right? They've arrested Kavita. Now, she's a very vital link in the cog, in the entire modus operandi. So probably they've got something from her. Implicating, because as I said, the Delhi excise scam was a reproduction in larger and more daring proportions than the southern lobby or the Telangana liquor excise policy scam. Now, you will see that this will unfold not just in Delhi. It's already unfolded in Delhi. And Telangana, of course, is now almost history. All the very relevant people have been arrested, the southern lobby. But you will see that this model was replicated in 2 more states, I believe.
But Mr. Jethmalani, the whole charge that this entire thing, the contention that's been made by the India Alliance is that this was stage managed in a way to try and implicate Kejriwal. It takes him out of the entire election equation. And more importantly, that the PMLA has been used in a disproportionate fashion against the opposition. More than 95% of the ED cases, whether it is registration of cases, raids, arrests made by the Enforcement Directorate in the last 5-7 years, have been against opposition leaders. That is surely something that the government needs to counter. How would you counter that?
Look, there is a court. Either you trust the court system or you don't. When the courts rule in favor of opposition issues, which they have repeatedly taken out through the leading lawyers in the Supreme Court and sometimes the High Court, right? The opposition is all for the judiciary, praises them, etc. But when it comes to economic scams, right? The very same lawyers who, praise the Supreme Court for taking bold liberal steps in issues pro them. Right.
Okay.
As far as economic scams are concerned with their leaders, right? They go to the extent. Yesterday's statement, I'm shocked to say that history will judge you very poorly. Something like that was said by a very senior counsel, right?
Correct.
But there's evidence. The courts examine the evidence. Are you saying that this may have political dimensions? I don't deny it. Inherently, it has to have political dimensions because of the chief minister of a rival party from that of the center involved in this, and so also in Telangana, right? But does that mean that the investigation clock stops ticking just because there are I thought the way to eradicate corruption in this country is get at the highest, right? Now, if you say there are double standards, why don't you go to court? Are you soft on corruption? Is the opposition soft on corruption that when they have evidence, right? Because right now they keep saying it's a whataboutery argument.
Okay.
So why don't you, unless you are very soft on corruption, right? Because of your own feet of clay, why are you not taking these issues to court? If I was in the opposition, and when the BJP was in fact in opposition, they took up the 2G scam.
Correct.
They went to court. They got court orders. So why isn't Mr. Kapil Sibal representing most of these people and Abhishek Singhvi? Why don't they do the same thing? Or are they so steep, their parties are so steeped in corruption that they don't want corruption to be an issue? That's my perspective.
Okay. All right, Mahesh Jethmalani, we'll leave it at that. I'm completely out of time. Thank you very much, Mahesh Jethmalani there, senior advocate at the Supreme Court, also BJP Member of Parliament, giving us his thoughts and perspective into what he believes is the reason for the action against Mr. Kejriwal, and that the opposition really needs to make its case as far as going on to defend Kejriwal is concerned. All right, we'll take a quick break here on the program, but news and updates continue right on the other side. here on Brass Tacks.
Presented by
Any interim relief, ED did not waste any time. They landed at Kejriwal's residence with a search warrant, and soon enough they arrested him. So ED is clearly saying that Kejriwal knew about this alleged conspiracy, even though interestingly, he's not signed on any papers. So that is what his defense is claiming, that what are you accusing me of? I have not signed on any paper. You have not found any money in my account. You have not found any money in my in my premises. So where is the money laundering, or where is the crime that I have committed? But like I pointed out, ED's case is that the money was actually utilized to fund elections for the Aam Aadmi Party, specifically in Goa. I think in minutes from now, the concerned judge will walk in, special judge for CBI and ED will just walk into the courtroom and the proceedings will begin, and then we'll know the details of that remand application.
Right, and that is the situation as we see, ladies and gentlemen, those visuals on your screen. Arvind Kejriwal at the Rouse Avenue Court after the dramatic scenes yesterday outside his residence where the Enforcement Directorate arrested the Delhi Chief Minister. Now, this has shaken up the politics, ladies and gentlemen, on the road to the Lok Sabha elections, with several allies of the India Alliance rallying around Arvind Kejriwal, calling this a complete witch hunt. I'm also joined by my colleague Yash Goyal, who's reporting from outside the Aam Aadmi Party office, where the entire cadre of the party has rallied around the Chief Minister, saying that this is a complete witch hunt on the road to the Lok Sabha election, saying these are trumped up charges against Delhi Chief Minister because the BJP is spooked by the rise of the Aam Aadmi Party. Yash, what are the scenes outside the Aam Aadmi Party office as the Aam Aadmi Party cadre continue the offensive against the central government?
Well, Ayushman, as of now, near our office, the situation is relatively better as of now, because now all eyes are on the courtroom, because as of now, there was no relief which was granted to the AAP national convener Arvind Kejriwal by any of the courts, and today, now as per part of the ED's procedure, now he is in front of the Rouse Avenue Court, and in some time from now we are understanding the judge will arrive, and in fact then the proceedings will begin in regards to this very matter. As of now, things here at the Aam Aadmi Party office are, I can say that a sense of unease, calm prevails, because everyone's eyes are on the courtroom, because what happens, what transpires in this very hearing, because this is a crucial one. This will decide the further course of action in this entire case. Whether and how long the ED will be able to get the custody, or there will be something else which will be coming to the table. As of now, this is the Deen Dayal Upadhyay Marg where I'm coming to you from. The commotion panned out over here early in the morning. In fact, yesterday late night, a call for protest was given by the Aam Aadmi Party senior leader. In fact, on that call, a lot of leaders actually gathered over here, and in fact, one thing which I have to tell you that speak to any one of the Aam Aadmi Party senior leader, and this time around they say that you can arrest Arvind Kejriwal, but you cannot arrest the idea which he follows and which he propagates in his followers. So the optimism is definitely not there in the Aam Aadmi Party cadre, because they have seen in the similar case what had happened with leaders like Manish Sisodia, Satyendra Jain, and also with Sanjay Singh. So as of now, all the eyes are on the courtroom, and in fact the cadre is also waiting for what is going to happen inside the courtroom, and then the further course of action will be decided by the Aam Aadmi Party.
Right, and I'm also joined by my colleague Anvit Srivastav. Anvit, I remember those scenes years back whenever Arvind Kejriwal would launch a protest against the corruption charges of the UPA regime. And in that time, the entire city, the national capital, used to be paralyzed given the mobilization of the Aam Aadmi Party workers. Now, yesterday, after Arvind Kejriwal's arrest, we saw a very strict security bandobast being done by the Delhi police outside Kejriwal's residence and even outside the ED office. Has that net now expanded to the entire capital, as not just the Aam Aadmi Party but the entire India Alliance is up in arms?
Yeah, see, quite ironical, Anshuman, when this entire movement had erupted from anti-corruption movement, and Arvind Kejriwal rose from it, and eventually became the CM of the capital, and now he has been produced in this special court in charges of corruption and money laundering. So that certainly is ironical, and
Coming to the latest development, the hearing we are given to understand has begun in this case. Abhishek Manu Singhvi, who will be presenting him, has also reached the court, and he'll be physically be present inside the court, and we are being told that he has reached. You see this entire stretch, how heavily barricaded it is, and this is one of the gates from where the entry of vehicles are allowed, but this is not the gate from where the Kejriwal has been brought inside. He has been brought from the back gate, and he had been brought inside the court under heavy cordon, and this entire stretch, as you can see, has been.
Dr. Jaishankar, thank you very much for joining us here at Rising Bharat. So we were having this discussion outside and internally in the run-up to Rising Bharat as well. In an election year, forget about election year, we are a few weeks away from elections. What do we ask the foreign minister? Is foreign policy top of mind of people during elections? You would think that more tangible things like homes and toilets, etc., are the things that people are more concerned about during election time. But funnily enough, Minister, in the News 18 opinion poll that we had last week, one of the things that people said, one of the reasons why they will vote for Modi is because Modi ne desh ka naam roshan kiya hai. Modi has elevated the image of India substantially. Why do you think something that is not necessarily tangible, like foreign policy and foreign policy gains, has suddenly become a vote-determining issue?
Well, first of all, let me say what a pleasure it is to be here with all of you. Look, to be honest, that answer doesn't surprise me. It doesn't surprise me because in the last 5 years, traveling around the country, I've seen this sentiment grow. And I attribute it to 2-3 factors. One, that there is a greater sense of pride in the nation about itself, and also as people's basic necessities are being met, they are also looking at many more things, so they know today, for example, that the water connection will come, the electricity will come, the road will come, the health will happen, because they have seen that grow. So there also, there's a kind of I would say, a new middle class thinking which is pervading through the society. The second is that a lot of people today go out to work, go out on travel. They are tourists of various kinds. Something abroad in some way affects their livelihood. So the connection between being treated well abroad, being looked at well abroad, and their existence is also stronger. I would say the third factor would be, to me, the G20.
G20.
G20 actually ended up our initial concern, and Amitabh is here. Initial concern was how do we get it out of Delhi? But we actually ended up with the entire country owning the G20. That in very small towns, people you would not think would have an interest in foreign policy, leave alone something as specific as G20. Actually, people had that sense, it's our G20, it's a time to show our country to the world, people are coming. So I think G20 has had a great sense of connection. And finally, in a very peculiar way, COVID. That what COVID did was, at different times, it's made us aware, after all the COVID came from outside. We sent vaccines outside. At a critical moment, we got oxygen from outside. So somewhere that connect with the world, it's made people more aware. Then it's technology. You have the world in the palm of your phone. So
I do want to ask you about the G20 part, because we have seen instances in the past where major sporting events have transformed the image of a nation, whether it is the Barcelona Olympics, the Beijing Olympics, and so on. But the G20, the uncharitable way of putting it is it's a talk shop. Why would that have permeated to the level of the Aam Aadmi and Aam Aurat on the street in a way that it's lifted the image of India?
Partly, as I said, physically, because it was done in 60 cities and towns. And mind you, other than those 60 places where something happened, people went out maybe to another 60 or 100 places more. So if you actually said in terms of locations, I would say maybe 120 to 150 locations in some way or the other saw G20. And we ran G20 actually like an andolan, like a Jan Bhagidari. So
this at the barricade that we are standing at is at least the 4th or 5th level of barricading, because this entire stretch has been blocked. Just a short while ago, this entire stretch was vehicular movement was allowed. This was open, but just a short while ago, senior officers came here and they ordered their subordinates to shut this road completely. And now you see the kind of barricading that has been done, because no vehicle will be allowed here until this hearing goes on. And also because just a short distance from here, there is Aam Aadmi Party's office, where heavy protests have been going on since early morning. All the Karyakartas, they took to road yesterday also after the CM's arrest, and it was in this anticipation that Delhi police had made such elaborate attempts. Also, if we talk about what the case is right now and what is the biggest fear of Aam Aadmi Party when their convener stands arrested, is the bail of whether or not he'll get a bail like Manish Sisodia or Sanjay Singh, or he will stay inside jail for a longer time. Because PMLA, when we talk about Prevention of Money Laundering Act, the section 45 that deals with bail provisions, it clearly says that only if the court believes that the person is not guilty, or if they can vouch for that the person when he is out on bail will not commit another crime, only then bail can be granted. Also, the counsels who are representing the person on whose allegations have been levelled, if they manage to prove that the allegations are baseless, only in those conditions the bail can be granted. And this is one reason when even be it Manish Sisodia or Sanjay Singh, whoever have appeared in the court for asking for bail, the court have not been able to grant any bail. Even yesterday when Manish Sisodia, Arvind Kejriwal, he had asked for some relief from High Court. High Court also failed to give any relief, and they said that at this point of time they can't give any such directions. So these things will be kept in mind. Also, ED would want his remand because they want custodial interrogation. They want to confront Arvind Kejriwal, who is the top person in this pyramid that they call the liquor policy scam, and they would want to confront him with each and every person who has been arrested, who are key people, who are key conspirators, as the ED calls them. Recently, after K. Kavita's arrest, ED had also called Arvind Kejriwal as one of the conspirators in the case, and therefore they would want to confront them so that the money trail that is being investigated in this entire case, the 100 crore kickback that was allegedly received and the money that was used in Punjab and Goa elections, that can be proven and the investigation can be taken forward.
Right, so just to get an update for our viewers, the hearing has started at the Rouse Avenue Court. Now, Senior Advocate Vikram Chaudhary and Abhishek Manu Singhvi are representing Arvind Kejriwal, and also we're learning is that Additional Solicitor General S.V. Raju is arguing the ED's case.
And therefore, this entire arrest ahead of Lok Sabha elections is political vendetta. That is likely to be the line of argument for the defense. But like we have been pointing out, the prosecution, which is representing the Enforcement Directorate, is confident that they have enough on record to convince the court. And since they have managed to convince the court in the case of Manish Sisodia and Sanjay Singh, they feel it will be the same for them as far as the Delhi Chief Minister is concerned.
That's what the Enforcement Directorate believes. They do feel that they have a watertight case. There are several statements that have come to the fore, part of which have been part of the charge sheet in the past filed by the Enforcement Directorate. K. Kavita's remand note also does make a mention, Arunima, as far as Arvind Kejriwal's role goes.
Yes, and that was the first time that Enforcement Directorate actually in a press release mentioned the role of Arvind Kejriwal so clearly about a conspirator. Till then, there was confusion whether Kejriwal was being summoned as a witness or an accused, because Section 50 of the PMLA actually gives the IO the discretion of deciding the status of the person after the questioning, and therefore Kejriwal was repeatedly asking. But once K. Kavita's arrest happened and ED released that press statement, that was the first hint that ED is confident of a case against Arvind Kejriwal. It is moving to questioning him as an accused, and then subsequently last night we saw what happened. Delhi High Court refused to give any interim relief. ED did not waste any time. They landed at Kejriwal's residence with a search warrant, and soon enough they arrested him. So ED is clearly saying that Kejriwal knew about this alleged conspiracy, even though interestingly, he is now not signed on any paper.
Hello, Namaskar. This is First Post and you're watching Vantage with me, Palki Sharma. We begin tonight with a big story in the world of tech that has direct implications for you. The US government has sued Apple. The company has lost $100 billion in value and the battle has just begun. We'll tell you all about it. Prime Minister Modi of India is in Bhutan just 4 days after the Bhutanese Prime Minister was in India. Why did he have to go in the middle of an election? What's cooking against China? We'll discuss that. Is India coming up with its own democracy index? If not, it should. It's the best way to counter flawed ratings from the West. Does France want to send troops to Ukraine? What is Emmanuel Macron's strategy? Why Rishi Sunak faces the risk of ouster in the UK? How a genetically edited pig kidney has been transplanted into a human. It's the first such operation. Why Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal has been arrested and how it will impact the election. Why tensions between Venezuela and Guyana have intensified. How we've pumped out so much water, we've changed the Earth's spin. And what is biohacking? Why Wall Street giants and tech bosses are taking drugs to boost productivity. All this and more coming up. The headlines first. At least 23 soldiers killed in Niger. The soldiers were ambushed during a raid in western Niger. The junta says more than 100 terrorists attacked the army unit with homemade bombs and suicide vehicles. Around 30 terrorists were also killed in this gun battle. Russia and China veto the US draft resolution on Gaza ceasefire at the United Nations. Moscow accuses Washington of hypocrisy, saying the draft is a gimmick, keeping in mind the US elections. Until now, Washington, Israel's main ally, had vetoed all ceasefire calls. More than 2 years after it invaded Ukraine, Russia admits it's in a state of war. Initially, the Kremlin called it a special military operation. The admission comes as Moscow steps up attacks on Kiev. Last night, Russia hit Ukraine with nearly 90 missiles and more than 60 Iranian kamikaze drones. The Indian rupee hits an all-time low against the US dollar. It's the sharpest weekly fall in 7 months. The slide was due to a higher demand for the dollar from importers and a drop in offshore Chinese yuan. North Korea's World Cup qualifier against Japan is called off. Earlier officials had said the match would be moved to a neutral venue after Pyongyang decided against hosting it next week. North Korea gave no reason for cancelling the match. And a fresh blow to the 2026 Commonwealth Games. Malaysia says no to hosting the Games, citing cost as the main reason. Last year, the Australian state of Victoria had done the same. Do you use an iPhone? If you do, you know about the Apple ecosystem. It traps you. You buy one Apple product and you have to keep buying Apple. Devices, services, software, everything Apple. If you want an app, you have to go to the Apple App Store. You cannot buy Android. If you want to iMessage someone, they must have an Apple phone. iMessage works only on iPhones. Same with accessories. You want a smartwatch or earphone or charger, you'd be inclined to buy Apple because non-Apple accessories do not work very well with the iPhone. It's like a relationship you cannot exit. Until recently, it applied to the charger too. You couldn't charge your iPhone without Apple's Lightning cable. Thankfully, that has changed. Not because Apple had a change of heart, but because the law mandated it. And now lawmakers are going after the rest of the Apple ecosystem. Leading the way is the US government. It has sued Apple. And this is a landmark lawsuit. If the US government wins, it could reshape the most powerful tech company of our times. It's already making investors jittery. Soon after the case was filed, Apple's stock took a nosedive. It fell by almost 4%, which is a loss of over $100 billion. Apple lost $100 billion in value. It's not really a big deal for them. This company is worth more than $2 trillion, so they can take a $100 billion drop. But the lawsuit poses a larger problem. It puts a spotlight on the company's core business model, the whole philosophy of the Apple ecosystem. It's now under the scanner. The list of issues that I just shared with you, they form the basis for this lawsuit. The US government feels that Apple wants to keep its customers locked in and its rivals locked out. And the language of the lawsuit is damaging. It argues that the Apple model leaves customers with fewer choices, it imposes high fees and prices on them, and it limits competition and innovation. Listen to the US Attorney General. He announced the lawsuit yesterday.
Apple charges as much as nearly $1,600 for an iPhone. But as our complaint alleges, Apple has maintained monopoly power in the smartphone market. Consumers should not have to pay higher prices because companies break the law. Apple has consolidated its monopoly power not by making its own products better, but by making other products worse.
You heard him. Apple became a monopoly by making products from others worse. It's a big charge, and it doesn't end there. This lawsuit goes beyond the consumers. It also talks about the woes of the developers. These are people who make apps for Apple, or the companies that make apps for Apple. Apple has complete control over which apps can run on its platform. It does not allow what's commonly called side loading. That's the practice of using apps from third-party sources by circumventing the official App Store. Apple does not allow it. And this power allows Apple to dictate which apps end up on your phones and tablets. So Apple has a lot of leverage here. According to the lawsuit, when a user buys something from the App Store, when you buy something from the App Store, Apple can take away as much as 30% of the revenue. Say you pay $10, Apple can take as much as $3 from that. This is what it takes from the developers. And the developers are powerless because Apple controls the App Store. So the developers will have to pay whatever fee Apple demands. The US government wants to dismantle this monopoly. And what is Apple's response? The company plans to fight back. Apple says it will, quote unquote, vigorously fight this lawsuit. So expect a showdown in courts. Apple is among the world's most valuable companies. Of course, it has the capacity and the means to fight back. It can mount a legal challenge. It can put up a strong defense. But look at who they're up against. It's not just the US government. Around the world, Apple's business model and practices are being scrutinized. The European Union is also breathing down their neck. Last year, the EU forced Apple to dump the Lightning cable and switch to a more common platform for its phone, the USB Type-C. Recently, the EU struck Apple again. It passed a Digital Markets Act. It has forced companies like Apple to allow side loading of apps on iPhones. And the US is trying to do the same through this lawsuit. Apple has been facing legal trouble here in India too. Since 2021, India's competition watchdog has been probing Apple. It is called the Competition Commission of India, or CCI. Some Indian startups had complained against Apple on the same charges. Apple abuses its market dominance, the commission rates are high, and third-party distribution is restricted. Plus, India has been mulling a new law, something along the lines of the EU's Digital Markets Act. It's called the Digital Competition Bill. Its provisions are similar to the European law. The bill may push Apple to open up its walled garden. Reports say Apple is opposed to this bill. But you see the pattern. Across the world, Apple is under scrutiny. It will put up a strong resistance, yes, but it won't be able to walk away without taking a few hits. Now let's turn our attention to Bhutan, India's northeastern neighbor, a country of less than 1 million people and often called the last Shangri-La. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi is in Bhutan. He arrived there this morning amid great fanfare. Bhutan knows how to throw a grand welcome. And they also awarded Modi their highest civilian honor, the Order of the Druk Gyalpo.
भूटान की इस महान भूमि पर मैं सभी भारतवासियों की ओर से यह सम्मान नम्रता से स्वीकार करता हूं और इस सम्मान के लिए आपका और भूटान की जनता का हृदय से कोटि कोटि धन्यवाद करता हूं।
It's a great privilege, and it shows the importance that Bhutan places on its ties with India, and the bond extends both ways. Modi's visit comes on the eve of Indian elections. The dates have already been announced. And it's a first for a sitting Prime Minister, really, to focus on diplomacy in the middle of an election. And that is not the only unusual part. This visit comes after Bhutan's Prime Minister was just in India. Prime Minister Tshering Tobgay was in New Delhi this week. It was his first foreign visit after being elected in January. He was in India for 5 days. He left on Monday. So if talks took place so recently, it seems strange that Modi has gone to Bhutan now, unless there's something bigger at play.
We have much to talk about. I will need your support as we move forward.
Bhutan's Prime Minister has called for support and India is rushing to deliver. India's Prime Minister himself is answering that call, and you can see how thrilled Bhutan is. There was the award, and Bhutan's Prime Minister even referred to Modi as his elder brother. Why do you suppose that is? Why the call for support? How can India be of help to Bhutan right now? Well, there are two ways, economically and militarily. We'll start with the economy. Bhutan is facing an economic crisis. Youth unemployment was at 29% in January. Growth has been stagnant at around 1.7% over the last 5 years, and the people want progress. That's why they voted to bring back Prime Minister Tobgay. He's previously served as Prime Minister between 2013 and 2018, and he has a proven track record. This time around, he has a challenging mandate, and he's been tasked to fulfill an ambitious plan. Bhutan, you see, is a constitutional monarchy. They have a king, King Jigme Khesar Namagyal Wangchuk. In December, the king unveiled a new project. He wants to transform the southern town of Gelefu, turn it into a mindfulness city. Now look at the location. Gelefu is right at the border, across from the Indian state of Assam, which means India can play a crucial role in getting this mindfulness city going. Bhutan wants to turn the town into a special economic zone. They want to upgrade the Gelefu airport and, of course, bring in investments and jobs. India could be of help in all of this. Build the airport, upgrade road and rail connectivity, and help direct investments Bhutan's way. Well, that's the economic aspect. Now for the military part, Bhutan is in a tough spot. Unfortunately, it also borders China. And like all of China's other neighbors, it faces aggression. China claims parts of Bhutan's territory. The usual bogus claims, some Ming emperor's uncle's favorite goat may have grazed there, so China now wants Bhutan's land. Specifically, these 4 areas. Indians will know the western one. That's where Doklam is located. India and China had a tense border standoff there in 2017. China was trying to encroach on Doklam. India sent troops to defend Bhutan and forced China to back off. But Beijing has not given up on Doklam. They've been trying other ways to get the land. They recently made Bhutan an offer. China said it would relinquish claims in northern Bhutan. In exchange, they wanted Doklam. But so far, Bhutan has not agreed. China has been applying pressure. They're building illegal settlements in northern Bhutan. But Thimphu has not buckled. So now, with the pro-India Prime Minister Tobgay in charge, Bhutan may be working on a way to counter China, and India's Prime Minister Modi may be willing to help. If there is a military deal, do not expect to get all the details. After all, why would these countries make something like that public? But even announcing a military pact will be important. It will send a stern message to Beijing and assure Thimphu of India's eternal friendship. That's smart diplomacy, we say, and it justifies the visit in the middle of a very busy election schedule. What do you do when a system does not work? A, you try to fix it, or B, you can build your own. India has chosen option B, it seems. It has long criticized Western indices and surveys on democracy, but now patience has run out. So reports say India is publishing its own, a homegrown democracy index. An Indian think tank is making it. Reports say it could be published in the next few weeks, maybe even before the general election. Now, we don't know what the methodology will be, or what indicators will be used, or which countries will be ranked, but we will say this: such a move was necessary. You cannot let Western yardsticks measure the world. If you do, the problem is obvious. The West will look good, the rest will not. And this is a big problem. A lot of people factor these reports into big decisions, like investors looking at a stock market bet, or companies looking to open factories, or even tourists looking to travel. So these rankings are like report cards for countries. A good one will give you tangible benefits, a bad one will keep investors away. So it's important to look at these rankings closely to see how fair or unfair they are. Let's look at 3 such recent indices. The first is the Liberal Democracy Index. It was published by Sweden's V-Dem Institute. And where does India rank? At 104. Now listen to this carefully. India's rank is 104. Guess who is just above India? Niger. Let me repeat that for you. Niger ranks above India in the V-Dem Index on liberal democracies. To put that in context, Niger is currently ruled by a military junta. Their president is under house arrest since July 2023, yet Niger ranks above India. So does Kuwait. Last month, Kuwait dissolved its parliament. Guess why? Because some lawmaker insulted the emir. It's constitutionally illegal to criticize the emir, so the entire parliament was dissolved. That country ranks above India. I guess when you have oil, democracy has a different definition. The next index is on happiness. India ranks 126th on that list. Look at all the countries above it. Pakistan is at 108. This is a country where inflation is higher than the average age, where terrorists attack every day, where generals rig elections, and where the IMF decides the budget. I guess that's what Pakistanis are happy about, being broke and unsafe. Also above India is Myanmar, a country that has been at civil war for 7 decades. Ukraine is ranked 105, Palestine ranked 103, Iran is ranked 100. We are honestly lost for words here. Ukraine is being invaded, Palestine does not have statehood, and Iran is ruled by a supreme leader, yet people there are happier than Indians. Finally, we have press freedom. This one is published by the RSF, Reporters Without Borders. India is ranked 161 on this list of 180 countries. Press freedom, 161. Afghanistan is at 152. That's Taliban's Afghanistan. Let me show you what press freedom looks like there.
مردم تنها گذاشت و به نام خدا به عرض سلام و درود بر شما بیننده های شبکه جهانی افغانستان. به ویژه برنامه پرداز باز هم شما را خوش آمدید میگویم. میربایس حیدری حق دوست هستم، شما را دعوت میکنم تا پایان این برنامه با ما همراه باشین. حالا که نظام اشرف غنی سقوط کرده.
That's press freedom for you. That's not all. Pakistan ranks above India. So do the UAE, Brunei, Somalia and Uganda. You don't have to be an expert to know that this is wrong. These rankings cannot possibly be true. But why does it keep happening? One problem is the sample size. It's often too small. Consider the World Happiness Index. They sample just 1,000 people every year. For a country like India, that's nothing. 1,000 out of 1.4 billion people. And it's not just about the size, it's also the nature of the population. You have regional differences, you have religious differences, you have socio-economic differences. So 1,000 is too small. It will never give you the true picture. Same with press freedom. The survey takes 10 responses from each country. So if the methodology is not working, why are these surveys still being published? Because it suits the Western agenda. We looked at the top 10 countries on all 3 lists. 4 of them are the same. They figure in all 3 indices. 3 others feature in at least 2 lists. So it's basically the same countries leading all these reports, the same Western countries. So why would they stop publishing it? Which is why having a homegrown index is not a bad idea. It's not about one-upping the other side. It's about offering a different system, a different perspective. Maybe for a change, we can factor in the gun deaths in America, or the hijab bans in Europe, or the brutal migration laws, or the restrictions on abortion. Then it would be a fair survey. Let's turn to France now. There's a lot of speculation about their role in Ukraine, and not without reason. Top French officials are hinting at something radical, a possible intervention in Ukraine. I'm talking about putting soldiers on the ground, French soldiers. The first hint was dropped by Emmanuel Macron. He refused to rule out deployments in Ukraine.
There is no consensus today to send ground troops in an official, endorsed and sanctioned manner. But in dynamic terms, nothing should be ruled out. We will do whatever it takes to ensure that Russia cannot win this war.
But Macron's allies are not eager. The US has ruled out sending soldiers. So have Germany, Britain and Italy. Yet France is not backing down. Now the army chief has spoken out. The French army chief, he says French support could go beyond military supplies. What does that mean? Logic says deployments. Another top general has hinted at the same. He says France can call up 20,000 soldiers in 1 month. He also said France can lead a coalition of 60,000 NATO soldiers. It seems Macron was not joking around. His army is backing up what he said. You see, sending soldiers can mean a lot of things. It doesn't have to be combat troops. It can be a training role or an advisory role or a security role. For that, there is some support. In fact, some NATO soldiers are already in Ukraine. They're helping and training Ukrainian troops. But that's a very small deployment. Some reports say just 97 NATO soldiers. Macron is hinting at a larger deployment. The question is why? What is he hoping to achieve? Well, grand plans are not new territory for Emmanuel Macron. He's always had big ambitions, whether in Europe or the Indo-Pacific or in NATO. So Macron is not a stranger to such policies. But what is the strategic angle here? Well, we can think of two. Number one, to deter Russia. We know that Ukraine's military aid is drying up. Around $60 billion is stuck in the US Congress, plus Russia is on the attack. They're making rapid battlefield gains. So maybe Macron is throwing a spanner into the Russian war machine. He's giving Putin something to think about.
We have a goal. Russia cannot and must not win this war. This is the continuity of France's position. We are at your side because we are at the side of peace, and there is no peace for Ukraine and for Europe that would require a capitulation of the Ukrainians, because that would be a renunciation of our security. In the past, on several occasions, when there have been conflicts, this same choice has been made.
Indications are Moscow has taken the bait. Russia's spy chief has made a big claim. He says France is preparing to send 2,000 soldiers to Ukraine. So that could be one goal that Macron is chasing, deterring Russia. Number two, to cement French leadership. Macron is a senior player in Europe now. He's always had grand plans for the bloc, like a European army or a common foreign policy. So this could be an extension. A bold Macron standing up for Ukraine. But will this actually happen? Could we see NATO soldiers inside Ukraine? As of now, it's unlikely. Most NATO members will look for signals from the US, and the US has elections this year. If Joe Biden deploys soldiers abroad, he could face backlash, which is why Washington is staying away.
President Biden has been crystal clear since the beginning of this conflict. There will be no US troops on the ground in a combat role there in Ukraine.
There's also a double standard here. Macron talks about sending soldiers to Ukraine, which is a radical and dangerous move. But why doesn't he look at the safer option? I'm talking about military aid. Just look at the top donors to Ukraine. The US occupies the top spot. They've given some $46 billion. Germany has given almost $20 billion and the UK around $10 billion. How much military aid has France given? Just $700 million. Now, Macron's government has disputed this number. They say the actual figure is 2.8 billion. Even then, it's quite low. So Macron's words and actions do not quite match. Yes, NATO